The content presented on the following show is intended for satirical and educational purposes only. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by panelists and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host, production team, or channel. Additionally, any third-party content featured in this program is used in compliance with fair use under United States copyright law, which allows for commentary, criticism, news report, teaching, and research. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage independent thought and discussion.
Black people can't be racist. Prejudice, yes, but not racist. Racism describes a system of disadvantage based on race. Black people can't be racist since we don't stand to benefit from such a system.
And this whole march adds drama to this total crime.
It is known in the black community that most, not all, but most black people are racist toward white Americans.
You say it's known. What do you mean? What's your basis for that?
They have been brainwashed over the last 50 years or so to believe that America is a racist society and that white folks are trying to hold them back.
They told us we wouldn't get here. Now with those who said that we would get here only over their dead bodies. All the world today knows that we are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
My father came to this country with nothing. He couldn't even speak the language. But he worked hard and he made a place for himself and his family. Now why can't you people do the same? Hey, my grandfather built this country, man!
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
Ooh, wee.
It's time to
Friends of friends, welcome to Friday edition of the Team Fatty Show, the breaking ground where Wakanda meets Valhalla. This week we have a touchy one, okay? Very touchy one. All the other shows that we did before were very, 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 very cordial. So I'm expecting my guests to get spicy, but not volcano type of spicy. Okay. So once again, I appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you very much. The content creators links are going to be blasted left and right in the chat. So please go ahead. If you see any content creator that you don't follow, please go ahead and follow them. And if you have any questions for the panels, we are still not monetizing this show because I'm trying to be responsible about it. But we are going to find ways of including you in the show. Okay. Tomorrow I might do a show. Okay. I'm tired. I don't know. Like the mic drop show was canceled, so we're probably not going to do that. And on Sunday, the infamous Ladies First show is back. Look at you, Ryan, going through the screen. That's crazy. The infamous Ladies First show, 5 p.m., where we get a couple of ladies from all around the world to talk with us about the bear and the man. Okay, I think we are good to go. Let me say hello to my guest, of course, ladies first, the lovely Kelly. She's in the building. Kelly almost gave me a heart attack before the show. I'm not going to say why. And everybody plead the fifth. Nobody talk. Nobody says nothing. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for blessing us. I'm going to leave it at that. Shout out to my boy Tom Foolery in the building. I appreciate you, Tom. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much.
Did you say you're doing a bear versus man debate?
Not debate, but it's a conversation. We're going to kind of like we're going to have a couple of ladies on the panel. If you want to come in, you can come in. It's fine.
I have a very in-depth video essay on the bear versus man problem where I go over like 20 studies and like break down all of the math and the likelihood of bears versus men and all of this crap.
And you still pick the man.
No, I'm saying that you're much better off with a man. Yes, you ought to pick the man. Yes, of course.
I don't think you need to break down the studies for that, but okay.
Yeah, hey, this
it's fun that you did it though. That's cool.
This man did the equation just to get on.
I did it because there were a bunch of people claiming that the studies and the math show that men are more dangerous. So I had to actually break down all the math to prove that was incorrect. But yeah,
that sounds like Adderall and autism to me.
Yeah, that's wild.
And by the way, since both of y'all have the white frat boy douchebag like the Limp Bizkit add to the back, Flow State, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Oh, there's the guy called.
I actually have a Limp Bizkit poster behind me though. So
there's a Limp Bizkit poster.
Yeah. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. It's from 25 years ago too, so it made it through.
Crazy. Nice. That's crazy. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here, sir. We have Mr. Ryan. Ryan is in the building, first time in the show. I appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you very much for being here.
Pleasure to be here. And I have my sidekick Umbreon here, keeping us.
Is he white or black?
He's a little bit of both. He's a little mixed, you know.
Like.
Well, what does he identify with?
Yeah, he probably a poser like Jake.
We haven't talked about it yet.
But
you should ask his third grade teacher. I think that's.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for being here. I appreciate you. Shout out to my boy Jake too from Holly's in the building again. We're doing good since the last time. And then let me go to Wakanda. Mr. Ricky Williams, OG Ricky, is in the building. Salute to you, Ricky. I appreciate you being here.
Running back. What's happening? Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You know Ricky can, like, when people say Happy Friday, you know they oh my God, their week was rough. You have a rough week, Ricky?
Not at all. Not at
Oh,
all. It's just I'm a slave, so all my fellow slaves recognize, when we
no,
get
we
a
are not.
right.
We are emancipated, sir.
Mm-mm.
Don't say that out loud.
Nigga, you beat my ass 10 times, nigga. I'ma get back up. But I promise you, nigga, when the opportunity present itself again, nigga, I'm gonna shine, nigga. In a real way, nigga.
We beat the allegations. Thank you very much, Ricky. First time in the show, but old friend from the Fight Club times. Resla, thank you very much for being here, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it for bringing me aboard, man. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Thank you very much. And in the eye of the tornado, straight from Texas, Mr. Trigger Mike. He is in the building. Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you very much for having you back, sir.
Of course, anytime.
So, friends, there's 140 people watching. Like the video and support the content creators whenever you are, please. Like and support the content creators. If they have a $sign, a cash app, all that, please go ahead and support them, okay? The shows today, as usual, 15 members. Yesterday, you guys' gift is like 50 members, so I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. 15 members and $100 via Cash App or PayPal for the hamburger fund.
I would like to buy the burger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
I would like to buy a burger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
The burger.
So I think we're ready. So let's have fun.
It's time to do.
10-minute segments. 10-minute segments. I'm going to let it ride for a second if the topic is hot. Okay. After the 10 minutes, so we have a little bit of a cushion. 3 hours and we out. Okay. Once again, and shout out to my boy Theo for being the sponsor of the show yesterday. Honorable mention for Mr. Thomas Legacy. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much. The first question, friends, is going to be a little bit out of the realm of the conversation. I didn't include all the questions that I wanted. And if you guys want to introduce something, you can do too. Since Kelly and Tom are on the middle, we're going to start with them. And everybody that is on the sides can intervene. They're just the main eventers, but everybody can chime in and pick up the microphone. The question is this, right? Looking at American culture, would the outcome or the public opinion of this incident will be different if he had a gun instead of a knife? Okay? Since we have a gun culture on the United States, would the public perception and the opinions of people change if he had a gun instead of a knife? I'm going to keep the 10 minutes and then we go from there. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I think it would be much worse if he had if he had a gun. Absolutely. I think people would have less sympathy. I feel like a knife, people kind of can understand a young person carrying a knife a little bit more, just, for protection. But, a 17-year-old carrying a firearm to attract me, I think I think people would think that's a little bit more extreme. Like, a kid carrying a knife to me is not really a big deal.
Do you think if he was 18, all the dynamic will change immediately? If you were 6 months older and he had a legal gun in his bag, right? Do you think the public perception will be different, or it will still be the same that it is right now?
Look, it can't be legal at that venue.
It can't be legal
because of the venue itself. Like,
because of the school, it's a school, right?
So is it legal on school premises?
It technically wasn't a school though. It was a school.
It was a school event.
It was a state-run event on like a a park type.
I had misspoke earlier this week because I thought, that's in Frisco or, that area, the Dallas metro area. So I had misspoke because I thought, in several areas around here, in the Houston area, you cannot have knives. Of course, you can't have guns, but you can actually have a knife. And the only knives you cannot have are location restricted knives that are 5.5 inches. I carry a pocket knife every single day, right? So it's like this big. So this is illegal I'm sorry, a legal knife. I can see these are $30 on eBay, right? Kids can get them. We got a lot of kids
A
that
knife is
fish.
it?
You could catch them, walking around Bass Pro Shops. So especially in this Texas area, it's very common to see kids with utility gear. You know what I mean? So yeah, he legally could have had it on him. So that's going to play a role in how this plays out in the courtroom as well.
Yeah, I think his age, I do think it would. I think there would be less sympathy, even though 17 is so close to 18. I just think in a lot of people's brains, when you hear 18, you full on adult. When it's 17, that's technically a minor. And I know it's he may be a few months away from 18, but I think it would make.
Well, the victim himself was also 17 years old. He
Right, right. They were the same age. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because if
I
you're
have seen a lot of rhetoric
Attributing
that
it
was
to gun
already
culture.
like there was a
Go
lot
ahead,
of
go ahead,
rhetoric
Ryan.
already, like talking about charging him as an adult. So there's that perceived.
He will be.
Prosecutors love
That's usually
go
that's
for
usually
that.
common though with juveniles with like hard crimes like that. They're gonna go after charging him as an adult. That's like a normal thing though.
Which I
Well, just looking at it though, in terms of the question when he says like it being the fact that we live in a gun culture, right? Because for those who look at stabbings, they look at it as something being more personal. Keep in mind, he might have felt overwhelmed. There was an overwhelming amount of number of people about him because it was a whole thing about the whole thing being canceled. So that's why they had this whole verbal confrontation. Knife incidents tend to be very personal.
They're personal, but it's as he said, like a lot of people, it's a lot more common to carry around knives. I got kicked out of school in third grade for accidentally having a pocket knife on me.
Tom's gangster.
It's a
normal thing to carry around pocket. It's normal, especially in Georgia. It's normal to carry around pocket knives, and so you just carry a pocket knife and forgetting that you have it. It's a very common thing. So for somebody to have a knife isn't an odd thing. But if he had a gun instead, the implication would be very different. Well, hold on. The implication would be very different if you had a gun, because then people would be doing the whole this would now have the gangster and thug implications and all of these other things. Whereas I think somebody having a knife is a fairly common thing.
Yeah, I think it's as far as the question goes, if the individual would have deleted Austin through a gun instead of a knife, yeah, of course. As far as what Kelly was saying, the sympathy would be even harder to prove, because obviously a gun is a little bit more violent. However, I think the rhetoric when it comes to the left, or at least the ones that are backing up Karmelo Anthony, I don't think that would change. I think he still would have raised the $2,000 in his GoFundMe, etc. I don't think that would change at all, to be perfectly fair.
Yeah. I think it would be more. We wouldn't be talking about it as much as we are right now, right? If you had a pistol, because it kind of falls into the narrative, right? There's no guessing of what a gun is for. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a lot of this. It's more there was more preempted
premeditation, right?
Mm-hmm. Premeditated, yeah.
And it's the story I'm hearing that's really bothering me is how they trying to well, I'm not gonna say try, but the narrative is that the knife is a tool, right? You can have with the argument y'all just had, right? You can have a knife, right? Yeah, I carry a knife, right? So
it's just very common.
It's a little understood, right? But that's kind of what's messing up the interpretation of the situation. That's just my opinion at this time.
Yeah,
You don't think it's a tool, or you what about it?
No.
You think it's just a weapon?
No, this is again my opinion of this situation. Mm-hmm. I'm a grandfather. I've went to hundreds of high school or athletic events, right? It's either if you got something, it's kids, if people are there, they're looking at you're there to see your grandson win. You know what I'm saying? You there to, cheer on Friday Night Lights, stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's only those people so if he got something right, especially if he presented it in a manner he did, y'all understand what I'm saying? As far as him saying, touch me and find out, you know what I'm saying? Right?
I disagree. I know what you're saying, but I disagree with
right. That's cool, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is this, right? What I'm saying is that when it's somebody carrying somebody and they looking to threaten somebody with that, even for defense, right? You either got beef with somebody already or you looking for a beef with somebody.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that carry.
I do every day.
All the time. Exactly.
Especially in
I do all the
Texas,
time.
like it's normal to just carry around knives like that. Like it's just a very common thing.
And
to
here's
just
the
have a
other
knife
thing.
on you at all
Data
times.
that
If you're at
suggested
a
there was
high
like
school,
20% of high school students like are. I mean, this was some older data. Like I think there was like a 2007 thing I saw that said somewhere around 17 to 20% of like high school students are carrying or like have been known to like carry knives to school once in a while.
Well, see, that
I
sounds
also
a little
think
bit more
it's viable to have a self-defense tool at a high school athletic meet.
I don't what wait, hold on.
As a high
That's my
school
question.
student, I mean,
That's my question though. It's a track meet. Like I said, y'all going to have fun and kick it. Everybody
it's better than a football game, but like you
You
guys didn't have fights.
with it than without it.
Football games,
Right,
there's a lot of
exactly.
fights. There's a
You're
lot of
right.
fights in
You
football
would
games. Not maybe
rather
not
be
track
caught with
meets
it
though.
than without it. Absolutely, especially around a bunch of kids and you a kid.
Look,
Yeah.
we have well, here's the thing. We have to establish that when it comes to especially young boys that are highly competitive, there's going to have some conflicts, especially among schools, because it's tribalism, right? It's your school, you're representing that. So yeah, you might have some conflict with the other school. However, bringing a knife that Flo State's saying that it's viable thing it's a ridiculous statement there, Flo. I'm to be honest.
Why you think that a more viable if you're in that kid's shoes and you're in like the other side's tent, right? So presumably you're just alone over there, surrounded by them. You think that kid should have been like, you know what? Not today. I'm just going to let them jump me.
Exactly.
Wait, hold on. Is your perspective the framing of the question here? Do you assume that the twins were jumping Karmelo Anthony at the time?
I don't assume that, but I do assume that.
It sounds like
he should have.
You're right. You're right. It did sound like I made that assumption. I'm not assuming that about them at all. But what I am saying is that it's unreasonable to assume that somebody should just like at some point just be like, you know what, I'll just be the victim today because I don't want to have to defend myself with a knife.
Yeah,
I'm just want to understand why would they normally carry it and then not carry it to the track meet? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
That's
what
I'm
saying.
But
We're
gonna
even the stats that Ryan even the stats that Ryan gave out earlier, he said 17 to 20%. That's still in the far minority of students that carry pocket knives. Just saying.
Yeah.
Here.
So I mean,
Sure, but it says that it's not so uncommon that for someone to have it, it means that they have this like dangerous
It's
mentality
normal,
that
it's
they're
legal.
planning
Yeah.
on hurting
So
somebody, right?
I'm gonna look at this maybe from a legal defense standpoint, because the gun. I think we talked about the gun. It would change everything. There is no situation in which a 17-year-old is legally allowed to carry or even own or buy a gun in the state of Texas.
Correct.
So having the knife and the fact that it's legal on school grounds changes everything because it is a tool, right?
It's not
Before
on
you
school
leave,
grounds. It's
before
not on
you
school grounds.
you know at a school event, like they always kind of change the statutes to cover school events somehow.
Wait, are you saying kids are legally okay to carry knives at school events? Is that what you're claiming here?
In Texas, they are. Yes, they are.
I don't know about that.
Yes,
dude.
they are. I looked it up.
Like, look up the
It's
term
under-
location restricted knife. If it's
5.5
like
inches,
under
that's what it comes down
5.5
to.
inches, it is like
And it's
in
legal.
Houston. It's different for locality, but in Houston
And
they'll say no.
And it's
but
different for this town because I looked it up, and under their bylaws, under the school, there's no knives or any of that sort. They have a whole list of stuff that they.
But it
can't
doesn't
do.
matter. The law supersedes policy, though.
Yeah,
the actual
that's a
state
school
law will
policy.
supersede
Yeah.
policy.
So
when I really look at it, though, hold on, I was gonna say when I really look at it, his defense should be like, hey, let's not demonize the knife part because if he's legally allowed to carry it on those grounds, right? The part that we can probably debate is like, did you really have to use that level of force in an altercation?
I disagree with that because if you're like you're legally allowed to smoke once you turn 18, but that doesn't mean that if you're 18 and you're at school, you're allowed to pull out a cigarette and start smoking now, right? So like their policy for their grounds matters, and it plays into like whether or not he ought to have had that there. And when it goes into the way that they were acting, whether or not they thought there was any sort of likelihood that he had a knife, though we do know that he showed them the knife ahead of time. I'm not saying legally. We're talking about whether or not he had like whether or not he ought to have had the knife. They're saying like whether or not we should stigmatize this or whether or not it was okay for him to have it there. And I'm saying that like, yes, of course, legally this is different. But when it comes to like whether or not he ought to have had it on school grounds, if the school says it's against the rules, it kind of changes things.
But here's the thing. I just looked it up. It's actually as long as they're if they're under the age of 18, both of the Karmelo was 17 years old. Technically, yes, him holding that knife into that event still would have been illegal.
But
no, it wouldn't have.
Let me
What are you
just say
talking
this.
about?
It's under. Yes, I just looked it up right now.
I know you just looked it up right now. I looked it up 2 days ago, and I had to do a lot more
good for
research
you.
than you
Oh,
just
wow.
did to find it. Okay, give me your thing, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. Come on.
No, don't
Let's
give
go
him
back
your
to
thing.
it.
That's gay.
No, I want to know what it says. It's important. I want to know what is
I
this
want to
say?
see what you're looking at because I promise you you're mistaken. I've looked it up. Mike's looked it up, and
Well,
you
what
just
did you
did like a
look it up
30-second
at?
Google search, and you made it.
Okay, well then, dude, I gave you under Texas penal law code right here. There's the.
I just want to see the link.
Huh? Yeah, just Google it really quick, bro.
Just
That's all
let him read it. Just read it, Jake.
Over. Okay, no, that's
yeah. Minors under 18 to carry knives and blades longer than 5.5 inches at school events. These are considered location restriction knives under
Right,
Texas
that's what we're
penal
talking about,
code.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's what
I
we're
don't
talking
think he
about.
had. I don't think he had a sword.
We don't know that this knife was over
Karmelo
5.5 inches.
was 17 years old, bro. He was
So,
17.
No, we don't know if this knife was
But
over
what you
5.5
just
but
read
they're
said
saying
over.
that yes,
What
the
you
length
read
that you
said
just
over.
read is he had something
Kids
below
can
that
carry
length.
shorter knives.
Well,
They
here's
can't
the
carry
thing.
longer ones.
Okay.
Hey, friends, give me just
Okay,
one
gotcha,
second,
gotcha.
please.
So,
Give me
so my
just
question
one
is
second.
this. My question is
Am I
this.
muted?
Okay. No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ricky. Finish your point, and then I'll ask the question. The clock being resetted once, so it's just to let you know. Go ahead.
So this is the question I got. I got about the knife, right? This is the thing I got about the knife, right? So we understand the law, right? What like we're like y'all debate now about what the law says is and isn't, right? Okay, we can all agree on that or agree to disagree, right? My question is this: even though it's allowed and it's normal, right, in Texas, and it's normal for Texas, right? When you got a knife on you, what do most people think?
Well, it doesn't matter. This is an appeal to what? To speculation about groupthink. It has nothing to do with.
Let's walk with it. Let's walk with him for a second. Let's see where he goes.
Okay, what do most people think? I don't think anything because I carry a knife all the time, and I haven't stabbed someone since ever.
Same.
People carry
remember a lot of
knives on
kids
the
at
outside
school
of their
having pocket
pockets
knives.
here all the time. We see people everywhere I go with knives.
Understood. Could I just get a direct answer to my question, please?
I wouldn't think
It
anything
is
of
the
it.
answer is
Yeah.
we're saying it's
What-
just like wearing pants. Like we would
it.
think the same thing as wearing pants if you're wearing a knife on
not
your
to that
pants.
extreme,
Okay, great, fine,
Not
right?
quite, but yeah.
Could you cut paper with pants?
No.
No. So you're saying anything that's it's not viable to carry anything that's sharp?
No, that's not my question. That's not the question. The question I asked you is the
Well,
question
you've
I
asked
asked
it twice now, and twice everyone said we would think it was normal.
I asked you, I already gave y'all the point that it's understood and it's normal and supposedly legal, right? I gave y'all that point already. My question is, if you see somebody with a knife or you're carrying a knife, what do you use it for?
Well, it's the same. So people use them for all sorts of things, like especially when,
What's their primary
like I said,
use?
here in Georgia, a lot of people. So to
I
cut
use
things.
mine
So
to
like a
scratch
lot of
my
times
feet
they'll
with and
they'll cut. Yeah, lots of times people will cut open joints with them. Lots of times they're cutting open, like beer cans and crap like that. Like there's all sorts of like weird things that people do with knives, and it's very handy lots of times, especially when we're talking about pocket knives that have all sorts of corkscrews and like all sorts of nail clippers and crap like that on them. They have a lot of utility.
And as a track star, they take their cleats on and off with those multi-tools. Just want to add that in there, Tom. Yeah.
And like tape on your wrists and all sorts of stuff.
He needs to
A multi-tool or a knife?
I think it's
I'm
safe
saying-
to
I don't
say
think we know-
that the
we
most
don't know the
common use
specifics of
that
the
people
knife.
are having knives for is not violence, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
So my question will be, and this is why I actually asked the question, is because it has to do with age. Let's assume that they are 18, right? Does Texas has like the stand your ground thingy, like in Florida, for example, where when people come, like if this was in any other state, right? Like for example, let's say Florida, for example, could he get away with it?
Well,
I think he will get away with it. I think he will. I think he will get away with it from the affidavits from the other eyewitnesses. Is that the other two came up to him and started kind of like telling him to get up and move, and then he started saying, back off me. They touched him. He said, put your hands on me again. They put their hands on him again. He pulled out the knife and said, put your hands on me again. They put their hands on him again, and then he stabbed them. I'm saying this is from the affidavit. I'm saying it's from the affidavit from the eyewitnesses within the police report.
No, the police report stated.
Jake, you've already been wrong once in the last 5 minutes.
Well, I think he's right about this. The order.
You're wrong about that claim completely, bro.
Let Tom Land and Jake retard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Jake
retard.
Yeah. So here's the thing, bro. When it came to the situation that was happening between the two young boys, he had stated, "Hey, you're under the tent. You have to leave. Right? This is the school grounds." He said, what did he say? Come at me, bro, or something like that, or see what happens. Right? At that point, touch me, see what happens. At that point, he reaches into the bag, and then he proceeds to say, "Get out of here." He says, "Punch me, bro. See what happens." That's when the white boy grabbed him / shoved. So it could have been a grab and a shove.
I agree.
It sounded like the shove happened before the second statement of his. That's what it sounded like from the affidavit as I read it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
It's a little.
But then he went and did that, bro. So the nuance here, you have to have context here. There wasn't enough conflict there to resort to a knife. Anytime
that, right?
Well, no, I don't disagree with. I don't agree with that. I'm like, when we're talking about, like, think of the Kyle Rittenhouse scenario where somebody threw a plastic bag at him and was just chasing him. But the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse had a gun, they knew that they were in threat of him shooting them if they continued after him. He pointed the gun at them and told him to stop. And they didn't actually assault him. They didn't actually assault him to where he had bodily injury at any point. Yet he was totally allowed to shoot this person because they came after him, and they obviously were threatening him in a way to where he's allowed to defend himself.
Bro, now we have to have an entire debate about Kyle Rittenhouse because even your assessment on that is wrong. Okay?
Maybe
no, we don't.
No,
we don't.
I agree with you.
Can we say that? Hold on. Can we say that these?
That was a clear case of self-defense.
Jake, can you get yourself under control?
Yeah, like, can we understand how I really hate the comparison between each of these cases? I mean, when somebody said the word, like, everything is nuanced. It is so nuanced to the situation. And here's where I think the Karmelo kid is screwed. It's still crazy that this kid's name is Karmelo Anthony. I feel bad for the Rona. He's just trying to go on with his life, and he's like, "What?
He's gonna have to forever be with that one."
Like, here's why I feel bad for the kid.
Carmelo will go 3-4-7.
We have not heard that anybody who could be on his side witnessed the depth of what happened. Right. So now it's almost as if everybody that witnessed it watched their friend get killed. Mm-hmm. So he has to have somebody advocate that use of force was necessary. Because remember, it's like, the laws of escalation always apply. Somebody talks to you, and here's really the end all be all of the situation. Because what people will sit here and debate all night is when you have the right to use self-defense. Let me tell you how fragile and brittle these laws are. You almost never can defend yourself without you putting yourself at risk for going to jail for life. Almost never can you. The laws of escalation state that if somebody's talking shit, you can talk back. If somebody hits you, you can hit back, but they have to pull out a deadly, basically a blunt instrument, not necessarily a gun or something. But if they pick up a trash can and it has a sharp corner, then you have to think quick enough to say, all right, I can pull my knife, my gun, or another blunt instrument and harm this person to the point of taking their life. So it's almost as if I'm never going to be able to think that fast in that scenario.
You don't think the numbers would matter?
Somebody shoving him or
just real quick, can I get like a show of hands just from the police report and the affidavit? Can I see a show of hands on who, just from what you've seen, thinks that there was that this is likely going to be a self-defense case and that he'll likely be able to get off on self-defense?
No, he's going to jail, dude.
I think it could be. I think it could be. I don't know, but I think it could be. And what gives me pause about it was the word touch. When y'all read it, it said the guy touched him. So I'm like, is that a hit? Is that a shove? Did he caress his face?
It says grabbed him.
After
It says grabbed him.
Yeah, and that's where so that's reading all of that, like you said. This is where I think he's raised enough money to get a good defense to downgrade it from murder to manslaughter. I think he's going to jail for manslaughter, and he will see freedom again one day, right? If his lawyer sucks, he's going to jail for murder. I don't believe he has a chance at self-defense, not a chance, right? Because the use of force, look at the word. You just said it, touch. Not
He's outnumbered. But you just said a second ago that it's so fragile as to whether or not what you're allowed to use deadly force, right? Hold on. The use for deadly force is based on a reasonable fear for your life. You have two people ganged up on you. You have already made it clear you want them to back off, and you have already told them numerous times and shown them a fucking weapon that if they touch you, you are likely to use it. And they said, they said they grabbed it out of the bag. Hold on. Shut the fuck up. They said that he grabbed it out of the bag and then said, touch me again. Okay, so you're saying they didn't see that?
No,
you just said that. You just said that, Jake. You just said that.
Who let a Mexican on?
So he didn't. You're saying he didn't pull it out yet.
Bro, he didn't pull it out yet. He said, punch me, see what happens. Then he grabbed him. Then he pulled it out of the bag and stabbed the guy. He didn't show it to him.
I think even reaching into the bag is a threat to say, I'm grabbing something, touch me again and find out what happens. But one way or the other, I think it is very clear when he says, touch me again and find out what happens. I think,
bro. Well, one second.
Just explain. If you have a reasonable fear for your life, that is self-defense. What do you mean? How is that self-defense? Engage with the argument that I've made.
Kill the guy. If somebody grabs you right now, do you have the right to kill him? And that's self-defense.
If I've already said, touch me again and find out what happens, yeah, they're going to find out what happens. 100%.
One second. I want y'all to I want y'all both actually to engage in it.
Except that's not even fucking part of
he's the warning enough to actually get him out of, like, he's the warning. Don't touch me.
Okay. I saw Judge Joe Brown speak on this yesterday. Him actually saying something does add to that. Yes, answer your question.
100%.
Yes. Now here's the thing. Trigger Mike was kind of right in the sense, if it was just Austin and Karmelo, then it's going to be a problem. If it was two, then he has more of a case for the self-defense, because like Trigger Mike was saying, force has to match force. The only way it would really be more of a self-defense if it was like a little old lady or something like that, to pull out a weapon. So.
Right. Yeah, the fact that there's two makes it much more threatening.
That's what I'm saying. It would have to be.
We're not saying his brother touched him, but we don't know the circumstances of how they approached him, right? Like, we don't know if they approached him like collectively.
One second, let's get Ryan and Resla one at a time. Go ahead, Ryan. Repeat yourself, because we didn't hear you. And then
I was just saying we don't know if they collectively approached him like as a unit, like as a threatening like couple together. Like we don't know if that's what happened, or if like his brother was just there like nearby, and because he says he didn't actually see the stabbing, but it sounds like he was like pretty much in the vicinity.
His brother, yes, so, Ryan. His brother was down a little bit from where they were, right? Yeah. And this what I keep telling. This is my opinion, right? So if they were bullying him before that situation happened, it's a problem. Listen to what I'm saying. If he was
premeditated,
right? That's what I keep telling people. Y'all keep going with this, but not y'all. My apologies. I'm working on myself, guys. I'm working on myself, right? People keep pushing this thing out that there was a bullying, right?
There wasn't no bullying.
Okay, stop. So let him land. Go to different schools, right? No, they knew each other through sports, right? What I'm saying is this, right? The bullying, if they use the bullying notion, they're going to lose.
Right. I don't think they're going to say that. I don't think they. Right. I think the family said that they didn't know each other. I think somebody said they didn't know each other.
Right. So again. My apologies, guys.
Go ahead. Land the plane, Ricky.
Right. So they need to stop using that narrative, right? What we need to focus on, and this is my opinion. I love the way everybody, especially the blacks, right? All the blacks, they say it's white supremacy, right? But then think that this young man that's black is gonna go to court and get the same leniencies that other people get.
Damn, that's crazy.
No, they gonna look at him a certain, whether y'all like it or not. In that town he's in, right? That's predominantly what?
White.
Well, I don't know.
Right?
Is Fresno?
I don't know.
Black or white? I don't know.
They're
Frisco
predominantly. I
is
wouldn't bring it
more
up
white.
if I didn't know
It's
it.
like
Jake.
8%
You see what I'm
black.
saying? Right?
Okay.
Right? So again, how do y'all expect this young man who's supposedly fighting a racial bias, right? With the very thing y'all say don't apply to him.
Because there's so much attention on the racial component immediately that I think it'll actually work in his favor that he's black.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Listen, I don't really do the race thing a lot, you know what I mean? But in this particular situation, that's when I said the situation is looking at it like you do know that from a culture standpoint, he's screwed. That's why I'm like, he ain't walking free.
You
know what I
don't
mean?
think that you don't think that the judge, the jury, the people that have to make this decision will be concerned that the whole world is watching them and ready to accuse them of being racist?
They have to live in that town.
Bro, no. What are you talking about? Carmelo Anthony being racist?
Hold on,
that's
hold
not
on,
going
real
to
quick.
happen.
Nobody said that, Jake. You gotta listen to what he said.
Carmelo. He's talking about like the judge, the prosecutor, the jury.
Yeah, flow
Yeah,
state.
well-
So I'm gonna give credence to what you said. I think that is a 45% possibility. I think the 55% is that because the community is watching them and it's predominantly white and they have to live there and their kids got to go to school there and they can be accosted in their own community. If they make the wrong decision, the best he's going to get it is manslaughter.
And
you know
and
what I
not
mean? He's
only
gonna
that,
get downgraded, but he's going.
I think manslaughter is
and
most
not only
likely.
that, they don't care about racism because they already gave the guy $1 million bond. Judge Joe Brown said that was very excessive. I do feel like $1 million bond, that's excessive.
That's
I mean,
pretty
the guy
high.
has no.
When I say
no
when I say
prior-
likelihood of like getting off, I'm not talking
$1
about.
million bond. Like I think that's pretty good. $1 million.
Well, it's not.
I'm talking about.
You have a
judge said
reference
it's
point?
not. Somebody said it's not.
What?
Yeah, I
what
was about to say
what
when I say that I think he's likely to get off, I'm not actually talking about within like the bounds of like the race aspects and all these things. I'm more so talking about within the interpretation of the law based on what it is that we know about this and the information that we have available. There's obviously a lot more that can come out that can totally change both sides and probably will if this goes to trial. But with the information that we have available, I think that there's more than enough to believe that right now he is likely innocent on self-defense grounds.
I knew what you meant. I can't call it. I knew what you meant, Tom.
I don't believe I don't believe he was. I don't believe there was enough reasonable threat for him to consider.
Yeah, if anybody grabs you, you have the right to kill them, bro. That's what Tom, this fool
Okay,
right here.
Jake, I'm going to put this link in the description while you're wrong. You're wrong.
100%. Before we go to that,
Hey, Frank, 1 second. Hey, 1 second. 1 second. Jake and Tom, I love you.
Yeah, if I've already told somebody over and over,
that's what I was saying.
Damn it.
You are very you are very like I will jump 1 second before you stop talking. Let's let Ricky finish, and then both of you.
okay, sorry.
Can continue.
Right. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you, bro. Right. So what we keep saying and saying these things are right now. I'm not saying what's legal. Legal is totally different than what's right. Okay, let's go ahead and get that shit out in the open. Right. Excuse my language. Right. But are we saying right? Hey, buddy, you're in my seat. Right? You at the old I'm at the oldies concert seeing Earth, Wind and Fire. Hey bro, you in my seat, could you?
Yeah, that's
It
crazy.
sounds like it was much more than that, right?
Yeah, that would be crazy. I agree.
But that's what I'm saying. No matter what we keep my opinion is this, right? For him to get off, in my opinion, if I was the prosecuting attorney, I would harp on the fact. Was this a reasonable response? Was it reasonable, guys?
Fuck no.
It depends.
It
might be.
I can't call it.
It does depend. Yeah.
Is it reasonable?
I think
not.
I'm saying that if two guys walk up to you and you're in an area where
Only
you're
one guy.
already probably you have a lot of like animosity towards you because you're on enemy grounds, right? You're not on your home field, and now you have what sounds like two guys, maybe it was one guy and the other one seemed close enough to where he was somewhat of a threat, but where if they're coming up in a threatening manner, it seems as though he felt threatened because he's actually reaching in his bag and then saying, touch me, don't grab. And then they actually don't just touch him. Like they didn't just poke him to see what he would do, but grabbed him. I think that at that point, you should 100% feel a threat to your life and you should do something about it. And I think if you don't, you're likely going to find out what happens.
I'm going to reset the clock real quick, but you got it, Mike. That's literally what I said to the woman that come to my house. Touch it, don't grab it. I'm just going to poke it. Go ahead, Trigger Mike, you got it.
I mean, I think for most of us, this is subjective based on our life experience. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've gone to white schools, I've gone to black schools. I've gotten in scuffles, dust-ups, and full-on fights. Basically, almost everybody I know would be dead if we're going to use the metric that because somebody touches you, you have the right to kill them. So I cannot say that like that is appropriate use of force because we'd all be dead by those standards.
Right.
Like literally, I wouldn't even have made it to school. Most of the time, I'd have died at the bus stop. Shit happens at the bus stop.
Dude, young boys, young boys get into fights all the time, bro. They get into complications all the time, young boys.
Like,
so that
like
makes no
all
sense.
the time. It is so common. It's almost as if it's a part of life, right? So these altercations, you got to learn how to navigate them. You got to learn situational awareness. And this is the part that I think, the interpretation. I'm not going to say he did anything. I misspoke. I did that before. We always got to wait for all the information to come out so we can digest it properly. But when it says like this is how he's going to be judged. No duty to retreat. He had no duty to retreat. He's not like a officer or some shit like that, right? He had a right to be there. He did have a right to be there. His school was performing the track meet, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So he had a right to be there. And
those the twins, they weren't track stars. They played football.
Yeah. So but their school was there. So that's what I mean. The school, So yeah, they had a right to be there as well. And then here's the part where I'm like, ooh, this is the determining factor. Not provoking. So depending on how they litigate this, if somebody makes a case that this whole thing was provoked some way or another, that's why I'm like everybody that could possibly or potentially be giving this advocacy to Karmelo, I don't think nobody is available to do that.
So, but Mike, I agree. Why would you ask for restraint for kids when grown-ups is stand your ground? Get off the car on the traffic and I'll shoot you. Like, why do the kids have to practice so much self-restraint when what he looks like is during traffic, playing basketball, all is people are going to say, yes, I have the right to shoot you because there's my da-da-da-da-da. See what I'm saying?
I honestly believe everything you just said is facts. This is a normal part of life. These dust-ups, these scuffles. The only the sad part is that when it turns into death and murder, right? So I think the best we can do is that's why I'm trying now to condemn the action at no point and not the person. Like I pray for the young man. I hope he gets out one day. He's able to atone and make up for these mistakes
for some
right?
redemption. Sure.
But I have to. I was going to say, as a Christian, I gotta condemn the action. At no point is it good to take. I'm sorry. At no point without like you have to be doing something. Like think about in what cases will we say murder is justified?
I mean,
somebody has broken into your house.
Murder is
your daughter.
ontologically unjustified.
Right.
You mean killing?
Killing, right? And I mean, I can't even condemn what the dude did from what I know from the information I have. Because I mean, I don't know. I had a stabbing at my high school. Kid got killed in the parking lot. Right. I've also seen what you thought were dust ups turn into stabbings. Right. These things can turn on a dime, and I don't think it's reasonable to demand that this kid assume that it could not have escalated.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's, I was going to say that.
The whole point is just saying that there were other numbers against that one of the being there. You don't know what his mind state was. You don't know what his mind state was.
You don't know.
Say that the brother was far, but if there's a scuffle happening, and he's looking at his brother versus somebody else. That whose side do you think you're going to be on? If I think if there's ever any overwhelming numbers against me, I'm not going to think that they're going to come to my defense.
Yeah, you need to assume that people who are trying to hurt you intend to hurt you and treat it as such.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I think the fact of the matter, I mean, we live in a violent world, a violent country, and they're like, yes, kids scuffle, kids fight, but also like kids get killed, and these things do escalate, and you know,
well,
it's. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not.
Don't y'all
I'm
find it
Let him
bad?
land.
I'm
Let
not
him
saying
land.
you should
Let
run
him
around
land.
stabbing people, but I'm saying we should also talk about like teaching kids to keep their fucking hands to themselves, right? Like like that's a really important part of this. Like this guy grabbed him, and he should never have been grabbing him, and he should, you know, I'm not saying he should have stabbed him in response, but he absolutely should not have been grabbed. And one other thing I wanted to say in regards to the stand your ground laws, it does seem like there is a lot of data that suggests that that Black people are much more likely to be or to be convicted in regards to stand your ground situations when they're considered the aggressor. And so there is.
What are you doing? Some advocacy right now?
Well.
Some unsolicited advocacy?
No, I think what it is
wasn't
like
waiting for
the undertone.
permission.
You know, I think most of us are going to talk from the undertone of the situation. I think Uncle Rick started it off by saying we're just talking like he has a fair chance or something. Like, you know what I mean? We already understand the undertones and everything that's against him because, yeah, he look at the culture. That's why I said the culture in which, let me tell y'all when I decided this boy was going to jail for manslaughter, at least first off, the whole nation found out. This could have stayed local, right? The whole nation found out, which made it political. Do you want to know when they put the nail in the coffin in his whole defense? When GoFundMe discharged his account. That made it political. They didn't do that for Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, they discharged his account. I didn't know that.
Or Zimmerman, or
they don't allow they don't allow people to raise money for criminal things on there.
Yeah, and
so was
Eric
Rittenhouse?
Chauvin had he had a GoFundMe.
Whoa, no, that's not true.
His wasn't on. It wasn't a GoFundMe. It was a different. It was a different app. It was Funds and Goes or something like that. And they
the reports say it's GoFundMe.
Whereas Kyle Rittenhouse's was raised through like different organizations and law firms.
It was. So I'm just like, they made it political by like doing that, and that means that the money and influence of other people, they're choosing those people over this kid in his life.
This case has been so
Gibson Go.
by the media.
Gibson Go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
What I don't like,
his is still on Gibson Go.
I'm sorry, Ryan. Right. What I don't like, again, like, I didn't give Kyle Rittenhouse no money. I didn't give George Zimmerman no money. I ain't giving Karmelo Anthony no money. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm not.
I think one of the reasons that. Yeah.
Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Right.
Sorry.
You're in the fights happen. Scuff ups happen. But is it reasonable for one of these kids to not walk away and to be able to go home to their parent?
You just assume it was a scuff up. Why do you think that it's safe to assume?
Well, he's not assuming that.
You
According to the police report, it's more like a scuff up than
why do you expect me to maximize your points but minimize mine? Right?
Well, no, he's saying that you're assuming that that's all it was going to be. Yeah. That like it could have turned into more. When this person is willing to put your hands on you, there is no reason to assume they're not willing to do a whole lot more. They're putting their hands on me. They have to assume I'm gonna do something about it.
Look! I hear y'all.
Right to get a knife and stab them. Then, if somebody threatens to punch you, you have the right to grab a knife and kill them off the bat.
Yes,
100%.
I mean, morally,
exactly.
Under the law, if everybody did that,
100%,
we'd all be dead, bro. We'd all be dead.
God help us all.
That's what I'm saying, right? Again,
such a stupid take, bro.
I don't disagree with you.
Legally speaking, it's just how it works.
I feel like that's your right.
That neither.
And 1 second, everybody has eyes. When somebody's moving their mouth, please let him finish their thoughts. Go ahead, Rick, land the plane, and then Kelly, and then I'll move. I'm going to actually start to incorporate the questions. Finish your point, please, Ricky, and then Kelly afterwards.
Thank you, guys. Right. So what I'm saying is this, right? It's not even. I put it on. It's not even about the event because that shit is over and done with. It's 2 kids dead now. Y'all know that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's two families with. It's 2 families with dead sons. One's just living dead.
No, only
one's just living dead. Yeah. If it goes the way it's going to go, right? He's a dead man.
His family could still go see him. I think Austin's family would be really offended by saying 2 people died. I'm just saying.
No, it's a metaphor. I get the metaphor.
I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't say that.
It's cool. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. Right. It's cool. Right. So what I'm saying is this, right? Just legal ain't right. again, the justification, if my uncle had a pussy, she'd be my aunt. He'd be my aunt. What if? No, right? You see what I'm saying? It was an unreasonable reaction.
I disagree entirely.
It was an unreasonable reaction.
It's unreasonable to ask you for you to expect that this kid should put his life at risk for the hope. Like that's incredibly optimistic.
But
and
if Kyle
almost
Rittenhouse
naive.
is getting chased by a whole mob, it's unreasonable that he
Right.
deleted
No,
that
but
other
again,
guy.
we're not even talking about the whole mob. He should hold on. He didn't get. He wasn't getting chased by a whole mob until he shot one person who did not touch him, who
And then
did
he had
not
another
hurt
guy
him.
that chased him with a gun, and he shot
Sure,
his hand off.
Sure,
One
stop pivoting.
second.
Stop
One
pivoting.
second.
You can't stop.
So I have 1 second. Hey Jake, 1 second. Jake, 1 second. So if I'm chasing you but not touching you, is okay. But if I actually touch you with my hands after people told me, hey, better don't touch me, that's not a threat? How is that possible?
Seriously.
If I
Okay, so
if
then
I
I'll-
am chasing you, like
listen.
Jake, let's be honest, right? Let's see we are on the shopping mall. And we bump. I step on your your new Air Max, right? White ones, crispy. And hey, man, what's up? Like, if I chase you and you are either running away or you're in a position when you are running away from the target, like you are telling me that if I actually grab you and touch you my physical ends, that is not a level of threat too?
Well, here's the thing: the way you format the question is very. Here's the thing: you have to compare the
It's
Kyle
fine.
Rittenhouse
Just
situation.
change it. It's fine.
Yeah, well, it's not changing it. The way you're formatting it is just more of like, well, they're both threats, so therefore they both have the right to either get deleted, whatever. The difference with Kyle Rittenhouse is he was in a Nicosia when the Black Lives Matter riots were happening. There was a lot of violence going on. A lot of violence going on during that time. When he had individuals chasing him, saying, that he when he was protecting the property of, I believe, the place that he worked or whatever it was. Yeah, in an environment where it was
nobody's
violent,
interrupting you,
in
Jake?
an environment that was violent, he has the right to say, "Hey, it could be the case that they were going to kill me." Sure,
Absolutely.
So with this situation right here, it was a complication, a dispute between two young boys, right? And we see this all the time.
Potentially
he grabbed
three.
them. I get you. He shouldn't have done that. However, he doesn't have the right to just delete the kid off the
That's
bat.
fine. That's fair.
Doesn't
That's
fall
fair.
under self-defense, similar of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Not fair.
No, 1 second. I'm saying that's fair, meaning he made the statement, right? So Jake, the difference between both is that Mr. Kyle actually decided to insert himself into a dangerous situation. He chose it. Like he said, you know what? They're doing bad things over there. I'm going to go there and I'm going to insert myself into a situation that is clearly dangerous.
Daddy,
That's
he was
why I'm
getting
actually
chased
taking
by
my time.
people who were saying they're going to kill him with guns. They had guns on. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about Kyle anyways, but
No.
We're talking about it
It's because we're comparing. If you think that it's justified for Kyle to get, well, no, hold on. Just let me just say, I brought it up for a reason. I just want to say,
without taking the microphone out of my hands. What I'm saying is that the difference between the two of them is that one of them chose to be on the situation, the other didn't. One of them was just sitting on a tent. The other one actually decided to either fly, get a car and go to a dangerous situation.
You're
He was
talking
not
about a
local.
judgment call, but it's entirely legal for him to be there. He's entirely within his rights.
No, but
sure, he's not talking about legally. He's saying
not
that
about the
he goes
legality.
to a situation
But
that
so
he
was Kyle
knows where it's
Rittenhouse,
already
right?
going to be dangerous
Yeah.
before he goes there.
Okay,
Whereas
yeah,
the
I mean,
other kid is
the
just going to a
morality-
track meet,
yeah.
has no
The
reason to
morality
believe
of
that there
what,
is going to be
Rittenhouse
dangerous.
is
Yeah,
also-
he's
there's
still
no reason,
in
but
a
yeah, he
dangerous
brings the knife.
situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we've already gone over. That's normal.
All right,
You
so,
can keep
I
bringing
mean,
that up, but we've already covered that part.
Let's talk about the undertone.
And by the way, Mike, after you done, we're going to start with the topics, and we're going to.
I didn't get to go. I didn't get to reply to Uncle Rick.
Because
Oh,
Jake
you want
wouldn't
to reply to that? Like, hey, I'm going to
Go
put
ahead,
both
Kelly.
of you all in the middle, okay?
Just-
No
just-
question.
just-
No.
Always my
One second, Kelly. Let
ahead.
Mike go, and then you can reply. No questions, just statements, please. Okay?
I
Okay.
mean,
You can go
so
back.
I look at these situations based on like, what are we supposed to teach the kids now? Like that's all. That's the part of the discussion that I'm having. All right. So some people say no, they touch you, stab the shit out of them. Okay. I'm not even gonna say that you're wrong. What I'm thinking about is what am I gonna teach my son about this particular situation? And what I've really determined is use of force is a mixed bag. Your job is to never put your life in the hands of a jury in the first place. That's all I could teach him. I realized something. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know if I brought it up. Y'all see my gunsmithing table here? I got a big old safe here. I'm a federal firearms dealer, right? So I'm firearms are my thing. I carry every day, all that type stuff. You know what I realized when I got married and I had kids? I became a bitch ass nigga the day I did that. You know why? Do you know why?
Because
I can never do anything without affecting my family or my free. I can't. So it's like I always give myself these. I teach like a situational awareness class, right? And Mr. Miyagi said it in Karate Kid. The best defense is what? No be there. Because it don't matter what anyone does. I cannot react on sight and lose my freedom, or I can't be there for my family. Right? So it's like the only defense I have is to practice situational awareness and say, this shit about to go down. I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. Because if I put my life in the hands of a jury, I'm screwed. It's a toss-up. I could be Kyle Rittenhouse. I could be somebody who doesn't get off, right? So it's like that's how we have to look at this. He put his life, like when you're going to say, did he have the right to defend himself? Let's be mixed on it. Everybody's right. But now the jury gets to decide. So so that's what you should tell the children. The jury gets to decide your life and you don't get to cry about the outcome.
That
Kelly,
was well put.
Kelly, and then we go to the question. Go ahead, Kelly.
Can you go after Kelly? I said something about Kyle Rittenhouse like 10 minutes ago and haven't been able to talk since.
You can wait, Tom. You can wait because you interrupted me the first.
No. I want you to go first. I was asking if I could go before we moved on. That's all.
Quiet, Jew boy.
Go ahead, Kelly, and then Tommy's going to take us on. Go ahead.
Kelly doesn't like the Jews. It's all right.
I never
I'm just kidding.
Tom Jewelry.
Oh no. Okay. To what Rick was saying, I'm not saying this was you, Rick. I just saw so much vitriol when they're online when this young man's family or whatever had, set up this GoFundMe. Like you were saying, you didn't donate to Kyle Rittenhouse or Derek Chauvin or whoever. That's everybody's right. For me, I just feel like I think a lot of people are donating to this young man. And this is the other thing, Austin Metcalf's family, they have a GoFundMe too. I'm not really sure what. Maybe it's for a civil suit. I didn't really look into it, but I just feel like I think a lot of people were donating to this GoFundMe just so this young man has a fair shake at trial, which is his constitutional right. And again, I don't have a problem with anybody having a GoFundMe, GoSend or whatever for their legal defense. But just the vitriol that I'm seeing online because of this, the guy has it. Like it was a whole video. Dude was looking up every single person that donated. Like it was just wild to me. And as far as the threat level, if it was just one-on-one, I do agree. You have to match force with force. For me, if there were other people involved, that escalates the threat level. That's why I keep saying I can't call it. So that was it.
And I hear you. And thanks so much for answering. Right, I appreciate that. But when I was trying to make my point is that neither one of these, like I said, especially when a point where, again, a true threat, and this is the problem to me, in my opinion, is that the threat is assessed by the person, right? There's no legal line of what an actual threat is. So if you pussy, you scared of everything.
Yeah.
If you pussy, you scared of everything.
Tom.
Yeah, for me, if it was one-on-one, he should have just fought him.
You see what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah.
I've been in a few street fights in my day, right? So if we both tussling with him and he stabbed my brother, I'm not letting him go.
Yeah.
Everybody about to be crying tonight. You understand what I'm saying?
I think I would be more concerned about.
Hold on, because y'all keep using he was getting jumped excuse.
I don't know. That's what I was saying. I don't know.
And we'll leave it at that, Kelly, right? We don't know, right? If it was a tape to have, we'd have seen it already to gather public opinion.
Yeah.
If it was a tape, if it was a real tape, how fast stuff get out, we'll all be like, man, why y'all doing that to that boy right now? That's not the way it get. And then when they go to court and they still send them up, we'd be like, it's bullshit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally have to use the term jumped. I think that just based on the affidavit that's there with one person, if we just say it's one person and that one person continued to escalate use of force against him over and over, and he had a reasonable fear for his life, he had every right to do what he did. And I think that lots of times we say things like, oh, like, why don't you just equalize force? Well, you can't ever equalize force. If one person continues to escalate, the only way you can protect yourself is if you escalate back. That is the rules of engagement is you can only protect yourself if you continue to escalate in return. I literally haven't gotten through a fucking sentence without you interrupting me, motherfucker.
Jake, remember how nobody interrupted your ass?
I know how intimidating it is to hear somebody else talk that's smarter than you, but you're going to have to just quiet down for a minute, okay? So the reason that I brought up the Kyle Rittenhouse situation is because in the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, he never actually was physically assaulted or physically injured at any point. Nobody physically touched him, yet he was still able to hit shoot the first person, and it was still legally allowed because he had a reasonable fear for his life, and because him holding the gun tells that other person that they should have a fear for their life as well. So I'm saying that if somebody says to you that touch me again and see what happens, or even just touch me again implies see what happens, that you're already telling them, if you touch me again, I will do something about it. And if they don't just poke you, but they come and grab you, this is obviously an escalation of force. We can all say death is sad, and it feels like a lot of people just want to keep repeating, death is sad. Yes, we all agree. Death is sad, but there are necessary times for you to protect yourself, and there's no reason to believe that if they didn't just get into a fist fight, that the fist fight wouldn't have killed him as well, or seriously injured him. He has the right to protect himself in that situation.
And just to add to your thing, the reason why people should not use cases. Wait, Kyle Rittenhouse legally owned that firearm, right?
No, it was his dad's firearm.
He was allowed. What I mean is that he was allowed to possess.
He had possession of it.
He was allowed to possess it.
Yes. So that's why I'm like, we also got to understand that Second Amendment cases have this weird protective status, especially politically, right? So it's first off, you're an idiot.
But it's about the use of force, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not whether or not he had a gun, but the use of force in that situation.
Yeah. I think one of the things I could be misspeaking here, is that you got to be an idiot to charge somebody with a gun, because if you begin to overtake them, then the defense goes, well, they could have just took my gun and used it on me, and then the person's justified. So I've actually seen that case with the USCCA a few times. So a woman is always going to get off if it's a man aggressing against her, because he's going to take the gun and kill you. So if you try to run after a person with a gun and you get hands on them in any way, or you know what I mean? That's the defense that's going to be used. So we can't ever compare apples to apples with Second Amendment style cases and, knives, fist fights, chains, that type of
thing. The only part
I have to read this.
That's why I said the only part I'm caring is that they're not touching each other. That's it.
I have to read the super chat, friends, and move the conversation a little bit, okay? Thank you very much to the 350 people that are watching the show on every platform. I will still blast every link of the people in this conversation so you can have access to their social media. Everybody on my side, or everybody you tag, if you want to look for the links of anyone in this conversation, everybody's tagged on the description. So Tim Ferry, please, Resla, Ryan Radical Coder, Tom Foolery, Ricky Williams, Kelly, Flow State, aka the Powder Dusty. He's not Puff Daddy anymore. He changed his name. Resla and Trigger Mike. Okay, please go ahead and follow all these content creators. They've been very generous with their time. So please go ahead and make sure that you follow them. If I drop a link in the chat, please go ahead and follow them too. Let me read these real quick. And there's not a lot of them. So let's see. We have Wanting Wisdom. She became a member of the Untouchables. Thank you very much. On one of my guest side. And CD, $5. The intro was fire. Go Kelly. Hoop. To you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Man in the building saying they're the most optimistic thing I ever heard. The most artistic thing, acoustic thing you ever heard. Thank you very much. Appreciate the $2. We have Dion Sardines with $1. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have Zyrex with the first untouchable membership of the day. Thank you very much, the lovely Zyrex.
The
Thank you.
untouchable empire, baby.
I appreciate you. We have Ben in the building once again saying, "Bro, let me see your penal law, bro. Just pull it out." Then pause. I only got it like 5 seconds after I read it. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Homosexual.
Some point. Huh?
Are you homosexual?
A what?
A homosexual.
What's that?
Very suspicious, sir. Very suspicious. True in reality undefeated. $5 says none of these matters. Touching or a shove don't equal a stab to the chest. Proportionate force can he prove he feared for his life. Thank you very much, Red Pill Ranger. We have Carl Anderson, the sponsor of the show for now, with 10 untouchable memberships. Thank you very much, Carl, for all your kindness. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you
I
very much.
believe that there's multiple so-called black leaders who believe that they are untouchable.
The untouchable empire, baby.
Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate you. We have Red Pill Ranger back again and says, being stabbed in the chest kills fucking vampires. Thank you very much, Red Pill. I appreciate you. Let's go. Keep going. Red Pill comes back and says that hammer is a tool until you crack a skull. Thank you very much. He comes back and says again, where does he get these two people ganging up on him? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have Lauren. She gifted 1 Powder Dusty memberships. Thank you very much, Lauren. I appreciate you. Go ahead. Amex. No, sorry, probably. AME. A man X, maybe, probably. A man X. He says, one of the parents there said the twins walked up to him from another tent and tried to jump him. Who knows what's true? Wait for the facts to come out. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. We have Mr. Lead Clinton saying, it's shameful. The whites on the panel are more rational than the blacks.
Oh man! Hey!
Yeah, I disagree with that.
He put the D before blacks so he can land better, like the blacks. Marcus Antonio Castillo in the building. He says Karmelo getting 10 to 20 years rightfully, so it's fair. That's crazy, Marcus. I hope you're doing good, sir. Lead comes back and says, are the Metcalf twins accountability? Are the Metcalf twins accountable for their actions?
Damn.
And then we have Marcos Antonio. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere in these YouTube streets supporting one of y'all. He sent it $20 and he said, good content to listen at. Thank you very much, sir. No ice jokes over here. G Ops, $5 says, greetings, Resla. Greetings to you, sir. And thank you very much for supporting us. Okay. On my side, we need 4 members. And we need the full $100 for the Hamburger Fund, Team Fatty $, Team Fatty.
Who needs money for ice cream? Who want ice cream, but who needs money for ice cream, so who want money?
Still, I would appreciate it. We'll guys get the members out of the way, 4 members, and then we figure out a way to beat the charges with this Hamburger Fund being completely depleted. Okay? So, friends, next question, and next is rolling in the bottom. Okay, and again, we can stray away from the questions because you guys are being actually engaging with each other. Why do some black suspects get sympathy only when their victims are white? Okay, it's rolling in the bottom. Why do some black suspects get sympathy only when their victims are white? Who wants to take a crack at it?
I have something to say to that a little bit. I mean, at least tangentially. I think first of all, like I don't know for sure that is the case, that they're only getting sympathy when their victims are white. I don't know if that's actually the case. But I think we absolutely need to place this in like the broader narrative of what's going on in our country right now, where like you know, I have sympathy for the father, like who was requesting, you know, don't make it a race thing or whatever. But that's not really how it works, right? And we are in a country right now where people are getting fired from their jobs for being black and being perceived as DEI hires, or even if they were DEI hires, assuming that they are unqualified for their jobs just because they're black. And this is like something that's literally going on right now.
Who do you know that's happened to?
I mean, I don't have a.
Well, CNN told them that's why.
Absolutely
right.
This is absolutely.
You don't have any clue that that's happening at all. You just know that
you're just gaslighting. This is absolutely happening.
Okay. Well, you're sitting here saying that we should, in fact, use other situations to address this case. So you want to tell me that you want to decide this kid's fate
Absolutely
based on some other shit? That. No, because that's what it sounded
I'm saying
like.
We should be aware of that when we approach this case.
How? For what? Like,
and be aware of that, the biases that exist and the context of what's going on in this country, so that people are aware of how it's going to be presented, how the facts are being presented.
Yeah, and the question is about like why race is entering the conversation in the first place, right? So he's talking about like there's tons of situations where race is entering the conversation.
Well, I mean, let's not. It
happens all the time.
Let's not tiptoe around the shit, man. Because I'm just gonna be real with you. Everybody know, like. I was watching something on Netflix. Ronnie Jang, he's a Chinese comedian, and he made a joke, but it's kind of relevant in here. He was like, black people always care about what white people doing. White people always care about what black people doing. He was like, this is why I love being Asian, because we don't give a fuck about none of y'all. Like it's almost as if the world is just watching blacks and whites in America because of the historical context of what happened to every chance you get to take a swipe at the other side, right? It's exactly because the victim is white that Karmelo is being humanized in a way. It's exactly because it's because racial bias enters the situation between whites and blacks in a political sense for political reasons to make statements, for people to bring up how slavery and the victimization and this is the mind state y'all put y'all in. It has such a deep historical context. The rest of the world is watching like, what the fuck is going on? Because remember, I said condemn the action. People don't even want to condemn the action. They don't even want to call it murder. So I'm watching it, you know.
I think it was murder.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it though, because even there were like a group of 5 black cops who beat up a black victim for pretty much no reason, beat the fucking shit out of him. This is a huge topic. Everybody made a huge deal about the way that he was treated. The last time I was on this panel, they were talking about the fact that black cops are worse when it comes to black victims, and the fact that they're just like much harsher and crap like that. And there are tons of cases where they have black cops who hurt a black victim or kill a black victim, and everybody makes a big deal about it, and it becomes a big conversation. But it's not just one side that is all of a sudden making this about race and being way more empathetic, because the other side is running around soying out going, why haven't anybody burnt down any buildings when a white person dies? Why aren't there marches all over the place when a white person dies? Well, obviously because the fucking person was arrested right after. Like there wasn't months until the fucking person was arrested. They were arrested right then and there, so there didn't seem to be any reason to protest. But there's it's being racialized on both sides, and it's just a part of the conversation, though it doesn't seem to actually play into the actual actions of the day.
It's definitely on both sides, and I don't think it was a race thing. I kind of agree with the father. I don't think it was a race thing.
I think if I'm being honest, in my perception of it, it's just because same reason why niggas clap when OJ got away with it.
Is it retaliation?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the truth is, like I said, otherwise people wouldn't use the examples of what a white person got away with.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? People clap for OJ, even though everybody know he murked that lady. You know what I'm saying? Because they like, oh, we finally got away with one. We finally got away with one. This is what I'm saying, right? It's wrong. It's wrong.
I agree with you.
Here's the thing. there seems to be a big issue when it comes to the black culture in general, like with rap music, hip hop music. They kind of tend to glorify, gangbanging, hoes, etc. There seems to be a culture there to where it's kind of glorified and it's okay. I think Karmelo Anthony, he's a young kid, and look, if you look at some of the photos that's coming out from social media that's already been deleted, he was a kid that had took a picture with a gun on his social media.
The air rifle. But
hold on, I'm going to get to that. Trust me, I know it's an air. I know that. Hold up. But even if you look at his upbringing, he was raised in a 2-parent household, right? So he was middle income. But I could tell that his mentality of kind of glorifying the gangbangers, the rappers that he kind of looks into, and especially how he has a picture of himself sticking the finger
a lot,
again. Well,
let him land, and then you guys got it.
You guys, your whole arguments are assumptions. Hold on. I'm just saying when it comes to black culture in general, it tends to look at when it comes to young teenage, impressionable young black men, they tend to navigate towards that gangbanging type of mentality, even if they are in a middle income family with 2 parents. It's worse if it's a single parent household. However,
does he flip the camera off?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there's a picture of him doing that. But nevertheless,
did you ever do that in a profile picture?
No, I've never done that in a profile picture. But I'm going back to Ricky's point here is that I think it's a big fucking issue when we glorify, especially when it comes to the black community, these types of actions, right? And we can see that through FBI stats of homicide rates, etc. So, me personally, I think if the roles were reversed when it comes to if Karmelo was a white guy and Austin was a black guy, this shit would have blown up even harder. We saw the BLM riots, violence happen, or George Floyd, and they rioted for 6 fucking months. They even took over a whole block in Seattle with Chaz, right? So it was a big thing. It's very different from what white people or Hispanics or Chinese.
Who are these they you're talking about, Jake?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I mean, I even just addressed this because I said that they weren't arrested. None of those people were arrested. They were protesting because nobody got arrested for those things. Right?
They were, bro. What are you talking about? They were burning down.
Them in. You didn't say.
That doesn't.
They.
Who's they?
The BLM rioters. Black people were on the streets rioting for 6 fucking months in multiple.
There was a lot of white people.
Just black people.
A lot.
Yeah, it was like
the majority of it was white people.
Ryan, how many riots did you attend?
Just black people.
I didn't say
one second, please.
We're black people. Yes, in these Democratic run areas.
Were most people black on the riots?
It was white, and I live in a very democratic
majority of it was
white. I will tell you this, Jake. Jake, before people drown you out, right? Black Lives Matter was a worldwide movement. There was 1 million people in Paris. There was 500,000 people in Madrid. They
believed into a lie that black people are victims. It goes back to the point of what Ricky was saying. It's the victimhood mentality that black culture fucking has. This is why you have a lot of the black culture even donating $3,000 to the GoFundMe compared to the Austin.
Make sure he gets a fair trial.
100,000.
It's Austin's GoFundMe has more money.
Get a really nice basket for the guy to die in versus a good trial.
I find it crazy to mention that one.
Let me just say this real quick before
you have to acknowledge the issues when it comes to the black community, bro.
That's totally fine. But before we go, let me just say this real quick, right? Everything is about race. One thing that people are not actually accounting for is there's a giant market about saying dunk on the leaves. This is race baiting. This is identity politics. A lot of people are doing the contra identity politics. You being against woke people or you being against the BLM is identity politics. You are just forming I'm anti-LGBT. I'm anti da-da-da-da-da. Just because you actually not engaging on the I am white doesn't mean that you are not engaging into my identity is I'm anti that. And that in itself is identity politics, because I guarantee you George Zimmerman got a bunch of money when he was trying to.
Yeah, but I'm not disputing that. That's the thing. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make it racial. It doesn't make it racial.
I agree.
No, it doesn't make it racial, but it's actually racial. There's the two sides of the coin.
Well,
about
people make it racial. I get it. Totally understandable on that.
You just
But
made it racial.
Well,
you
here's the
just
thing.
you
No,
talking
I
about
get
the
you.
black
Here's the
coat.
point.
Your whole speech was about the racial aspect.
Even to the point where you're pointing towards the fact of saying that the black culture and about rap music, right? But we know all the overwhelming majority of people who actually support the rap music are white people.
Yeah,
We're not
they
against
made
these
millionaires out of
rappers.
these black people, but nevertheless,
we
they
are
still
against these
advocate
thugs.
for this degeneracy within our culture. That's the point here. Like, look, dude, look at 6% of the people are committing 52% of the homicides. You know, again, that's black males. Black males are doing that here in the United States.
It's actually like 1%. But
it's not 1%, bro.
Hey, Jake, do you think
it is 1%? It's 4% of the 6%.
And white men are doing
So it
all
is
the pedophilia.
1%. The majority of black. You're saying 6%. Wait. You're saying just hold on. You're just saying that 6% are black males. I agree with you, but it is 1% of that 6% that actually commit 66% of the violent crimes within that community. So it's the majority of black men are not going to prison for violent crimes.
Yeah, not within the community. I'm saying if you look at the stats, even if I use your stats here, I'll just concede to this. It's 1% of the United States that are committing these violent acts. 66%. That's overwhelmingly a problem that the black community definitely.
Jake, you have a green card,
music, etc., bro.
So, Jake, can I ask you
the
1%? Can I 1 second, Ryan? I got you next. Jake, the question is, do you think this culture that you're talking about influenced anything on this situation? Because for what I saw, just a second, right? What I saw in the pictures when he was holding the airsoft or whatever the gun was, there was like two white kids. There were two white kids next to him. This sounds like a very integrated kid. It doesn't sound from a kid that comes from a very secluded background.
Okay, are you saying that the gangster influence had nothing to do at all?
No. I'm not.
Do gangsters stab each other, or they?
I'm saying that the gangster influence has to do with your interpretation of the picture.
Thank you.
Again,
I know. So this is what I was going to get at.
Is there
you don't
any
even
type
know
of
if he listens to hip
interpretation
hop.
you have a culture glorifying this type of behavior? You don't think that has no influence on that at all? That's crazy. Come on.
Why do so many white men disproportionately molest and rape women? What's up with that?
There's a conversation for 3 shows from now, not today. And
but they said that
I don't.
White people disproportionately listen to rap music. I wasn't going there. I'm saying they did bring up the. Yes, that's what I'm not going there. I'm saying that white people do disproportionately listen to rap music.
Yeah,
I already made the statement. It's about rap music. I'm talking about rap music. That white people disproportionately listen to rap music, and so if we're going to say that, like the praising of, if we say that the praising of like the black culture and the gang culture and rap culture and all this shit, yet white people do it disproportionately, yet they're not committing the crimes disproportionately. It seems to be something totally different than white people.
Majority of the country, bro. The majority
disproportionately listen.
It's not just. I get you. It's just
this is terrible. This is terrible.
That's irrelevant to the argument.
This is like, and you like, this is terrible YouTubing. Sorry, you can be over talking, under talking, side cut, like one at a time, please.
White people get it together.
Man, I thought y'all was the part of your organization.
It's with the white culture, bro.
It's because of the white culture.
White culture, yep.
Hey, and I got you, Tom and Jake. I promise that Ryan and Uncle Rick going in, and then you guys can reply to whatever is being said.
Yeah. So
all I was gonna say.
Oh,
no. Yeah, my bad. I was just gonna say that the assigning of like the assumption that like the black culture that you're referring to that necessarily has something to do with this, and you're like looking incredulous at us when we're saying we don't know whether that has anything to do with it. Like you're assigning so much to any just because he's black, and it's the. I was going to add to that the thing you're doing kind of the same thing when you say 6% of people, 6% of Americans, you're assigning all of that to all black men.
No.
Just talking about,
I didn't state that.
You're not
I
just
said
talking about the violent criminals, the 1% of that 6%. You're talking about all black men, assigning it to all black men. That's the problem.
Okay, let's take that away. It's 1% of black men, and they're still committing 52% of the fucking homicides, Ryan. That's still a fucking problem. That's actually worse. That even a smaller group.
Maybe do the white.
Yeah.
Do the white
thing, Ryan. Wouldn't you say?
That doesn't mean you can
That changes your statement, though. That doesn't address his. Yes, that doesn't address what he's calling you out for.
Look, I'm saying when it comes to black culture in general, there's a big problem. There's a big fucking fatherless household problem. I'm not saying Karmelo Anthony grew up in that situation because I've done my research. He did not. However, what I am saying here is that it's crazy to me that he brought a knife in the first place. He goes into a tent that wasn't even his school. He could have gone to his own tent and taken away from the rain because it was raining. During that situation, he decided to go to another tent, another school where it's raining. And yes, the capacity of the tent could necessarily be where you want rooms, and people are going to want to have their school into that tent. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, dude, you have to leave. Go to your own tent. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think the what?
The seat police. What was Austin like the seat police?
That's irrelevant.
There's a hallmark.
What if he was? What if he was the seat police? What does it fucking matter, dude? Dude, people do this. Okay, if Dak Prescott, the Cowboys quarterback, he decides in the third quarter to go to the fucking San Francisco sideline and be there, do you think that's appropriate?
Not the same. Not the same because they actually have assigned sidelines.
Right?
Actually have assigned sidelines, bro.
Let me say this because
exactly, it's a sign silent. It's not
how is this not, dude?
I
looked into it. He still has the right.
All right, let me say this because
students sit on at all the tents because I know what you're talking about because I thought that too. I said, why didn't he just get up if he wasn't supposed to sit there? Apparently, in that area, students sit everywhere. So that's it was a mixed bag. That's all I'm saying.
But the reason why people have personal tents within the bleachers, and I know this because I did do track, is mostly because when you have friends and families in personal bleachers or even the school, is because you have your items underneath the tent. So it's better off to protect your items. This is why they discourage people to coming into there, right? People, especially kids that you don't fucking know. It's a very reasonable thing. All right, it happens all the time. I'm saying this. If you're going to make the excuse that it wasn't assigned seating, it's a dumb argument. I get you. The rain is a factor, but he could have gone under the bleachers. He could have gone anywhere, and he was carrying a knife. And the escalation that happened between him and Austin is not reasonable for that self-defense.
It actually pisses me off hearing how quiet everybody is while you talk.
No, like
yeah,
it is obnoxious, isn't it?
I heard what he said.
Yeah,
Look,
I listen to everybody, bro.
I got you, Mike and Ricky. Kelly, just go ahead. A short remark, and then we get Trigger Mike and Uncle Rick. We need 3 members, friends. Go ahead.
To what Jake is saying, I thought the same thing, Jake. I said, why wouldn't he just leave and go to his own tent? Why would he even go sit over there? Well, when I found out later, it was a rainy day, and they said that the kids sit at all the different tents. My thing is, who is Austin? And let me be clear. I'm not saying Austin deserved to get stabbed by any means. I'm saying from the get-go, I said, I got to wait to see how this plays out before I even judge or whatever. But I'm just saying, you're saying that he should have left. Somebody could say Austin should have minded his business. That's all I'm saying. We're both speculating here, or we're both saying this person should have did that. Somebody could say he should have did that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. But yeah, what I'm saying is that it's weird to me that he would go to another school's tent in general. Okay, so and him
but
carrying
maybe
a knife.
That's normal. I agree with that. I think that's the norm. That's
okay. It could be. When I was younger, it wasn't that case, right? We had rivalry schools. It was intense. Yes, we would. This is the reason why they have visitor bleachers and home bleachers, specifically to separate competition on that. All right, it's very reasonable that the tent was for the school and they bought it. The school.
I don't think it was though. Because that is crazy. I agree with you. That would be crazy. Why would you go at the opposing teams, wwhatever, to sit there unless that's the norm? Why don't we have the mindset maybe that's the norm?
Yeah, and it's not. He was the only one there.
Crazy.
Hey, Rick and Trigger Mike, please, because they'll be waiting. Yeah. I just find it, and again, remember, I'm an outsider. I'm from Portugal. Man, if you touch me on a motherfucking thing, I'll fuck you up. I'll take a rock out of my motherfucking shit. I'll fuck you up. Who the fuck do you think you are for putting your hands up? Like that's to me is crazy. And Jake, appreciate your perspective, but we could literally flip it and say, see, white people bullying like they do to everybody around the world. They go ahead picking up fights with the Middle Easterns and Africans and to the Indians and all the white people. It's not white people culture because most of white people would never put their hands on their kid. Most white people would say, hey, bro, it's raining outside. You can stay here while it's still raining. when he's not trained, you just
Yeah,
go
but
ahead.
he doesn't, dude. He's not obligated to say that you could stay there, bro. That's the thing.
No, but that's
All
not
right?
this.
Why didn't some authority figure tell him to move?
Regardless of the skin color, it does not matter.
No. But there's 1 second, Jake. If it was your house, only you have the right to come in and to say, "Hey, bro, this is my house. Ready? Pick your shit." If Trigger Mike comes around and says, "Hey, man, this is Jake's house. You better leave," make me.
Right.
Hey, make me do it. Make me do it. And we're going to see.
So right. So that leads into my question, Fatty. Do you guys believe that these guys were mutual combatants?
Yes.
We would have to wait and find out. It probably sounds like it, though. At least being on rivalry football teams. Being on rivalry football teams, that is how it goes. Is generally like, yeah, there's a big beef there for sure.
Well, they weren't rivalry. They weren't. It wasn't a rivalry football
So
team.
they were mutual combatants, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody know what imminent danger means?
Yeah.
That means it's upon you, and there's no room for you to do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he in imminent danger?
Karmelo,
he was. There was it's reasonable for him to believe he was. Would be my
reasonable
under what standard
fear for his life.
Listen to what I'm saying. Could he run away?
I don't know.
No, I think he
absolutely could have.
He could have ran away. He could have retreated.
I don't know the layout of things, but he did. He ran away after he stabbed the guy.
Bro, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna leave. Could have done that.
Yeah, you could have. I guess if we're using terms like imminent danger, like legal terms, we're also going to use terms like stand your ground laws and crap like that.
Understood. Everything's fair because we're talking legality, right, Tom? We're talking legality, right? So everything within the legal sphere is fair, right? So my question is this, right? Imminent danger means there's a moment upon you. There's nothing you can do. Is me saying to you, touch me and see what I do, imminent danger? No, I got time to move around.
It doesn't prove it one way or the other. No, I think you could.
That would be a threat.
Can you repeat that again?
You can get out 2 words.
Nope. This again, y'all didn't say that. What y'all said here earlier was in the subpoenas or whatever, right? This was a tussle, right? They were having a conversation. Was he in imminent danger?
He might have been, because this shit evolved.
Imminent danger is the wrong. Imminent danger is the wrong threshold for this, though, because we would use reasonable fear for your life. Hold on, wait. Let me finish my answer, please. I'm saying that it's about reasonable fear for your life in this case, as to whether or not you're allowed to use escalation of force. Not imminent danger is an aspect of that, but the threshold is reasonable fear for your life.
And what does reasonable mean?
You are asking imminent danger for the black kid or for the white kid?
For the black kid.
Because that's the thing, right? On principle, I don't think there was imminent, but I think there was imminent bodily danger. If you touch me, there's definitely imminent bodily danger. The thing is, he actually proves the point. If there was no danger, why did one of them got stabbed?
Well, let me ask you this.
You see what I'm saying? It's like you saying, and you got it, Jake. It's like saying, when we are on traffic and I get into it with Resla, there's no danger when he leaves his car and he just leaves. He's walking towards me. Is that danger? He's walking towards me to my car. Most people will say, absolutely. If you live in your car, there's a reason. If you come to my window,
right,
you might get got.
But can I ask you guys this?
Absolutely.
Just really quick.
By the way, ladies for the show, Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I was going to ask this kind of question to the panel here. Karmelo Anthony threatened this young man twice, right? See what touch me, see what it is, punch me, etc. He threatened him twice. Does that mean that now the white boy Austin has the right to take a knife and stab him in the heart?
Well, it's a threat if he touches him. It's a threat if he touches him.
You said earlier that you would harm a guy, you would delete a guy if he threatened you, Tom.
No.
Yes, but hold on. I said, hold on. Wait, why are you removing context from this?
I said.
Because your Jake is dumb. That's why.
You're incapable of engaging, dude. You're removing the context to engage with a straw man.
Because there's no reason. I'm going to clarify my position.
White on white violence.
If you say get out of Jake house, get out of the tent. If it's not your house, I will say make me. And as soon as you put hands on me, I will put feet on you. That's all. That's all I said. It's very.
Would you murder the guy though? Would you murder the guy, Fatty?
Huh?
Would you murder the guy though for that?
No. So
not.
I come from one second. I come from a different culture.
Well,
We are on the fourth safest country on the planet.
Would you personally do that?
No, listen, Jake. I'm giving you context, right? Everybody that dies in Portugal of homicide gets on the news. There's very few homicides. So if I'm going to be front paper, right? What I'm telling you is that if I start to do meetings, untouchable meetings by the end of the year, my predisposition toward Americans in American soil is going to be very different because Trigger Mike told me everybody got guns, because Ranguriki said there's a lot of people. Like, you see what I'm saying? So on my contest, absolutely not. I'll give you a fair one. If I'm playing basketball in New York and I don't know nobody and there's a scuffle, I'm looking around to see if somebody might have something that is not just a fist fight. It might be actually a gunfight. You see what I'm saying? So I will do it, but I will understand how, depending on the culture, people will do it.
Fair enough, bro. But here's the thing. Powder and also Tom stated that, hey, he could have been thinking in his mind that it could have escalated. Now, if Austin saw that there was 2 threats, he could have had the same mindset that this could escalate. Let me get a knife and stab the kid. So again, if you put it back in this direction, does Austin have the right to, at that point in time, delete Karmelo Anthony? That's my question, Tom.
He keeps removing the talk context, though. Like he keeps using my statement to argue against. Yes, I did. Yes. So
it's not a straw man; it's a steel man. Good.
No, it isn't. No, it is not. It is not, because you took out part of the context of my statement. You are using the statement without the fucking context. That's what that means. Yes, you are using my statement that takes the context out. Is that yes, he is threatening him if he touches him. That is, the threat is dependent on him touching him. Yes? Yes? Answer yes or no. Answer yes or no. Don't laugh. Answer yes or no.
Well, here's the thing.
The threat is not dependent. No, so you're saying the threat is not dependent on him touching
Anthony,
him.
Bro, he didn't threaten him. He told him to leave. That's not a threat. Him telling him to
that
leave
was
is
not
not
the
a threat,
question.
bro.
That was not the question.
No, hold on. That's not the question. He says...
Engage into the conversation. Tom is asking if the threat that he did was actually...
he's saying, if you touch me... Yes. If you find out what happens if you touch me, right? So yes, that is a threat. Yes, if he touches him. So you're saying you agree that the threat is dependent on him touching him. Yes.
No, not at all. A threat is a threat. Dude, you can threaten
this
me
guy
over
is
the internet. Hold on.
This guy is
you can
delusional, bro. This
guy
guy's fucking delusional.
If you directly message me saying, Jake, I'm going to delete you, is that still a threat?
Yes, there's a threat. But if
yes, so it doesn't matter about physicality. It doesn't matter about physicality, Tom.
We have to talk with each other.
Yeah, see, that's you removing the context. Thank you. We have one that's dependent on something, one that's not dependent on something. Totally disanalogous.
Regardless of him.
These white people are out of fucking control.
Let's clear it out real quick, right? And Jake, see if you agree with this. If I send you a message saying, if I see you, I will shoot you, there's a direct threat.
Yes.
If I say, talk with my wife again and send her nudes, I'll shoot you, there's a condition, meaning I'm not going to do nothing if you stop talking with my wife. If you come in and talk with my wife again, I'm going to do something, meaning that it's not actually on an offensive, meaning if you are going to do this shit again, I'm going to use whatever it takes to actually get you got. So do you think there's not a difference between both of them?
No, there's a difference, Fatty. Obviously, if you're going to bake in the situation of things, I'm not disputing that. Not disputing that, bro.
It's baked into the situation.
Look, not necessarily. Again,
it's fine.
Tom is saying that you need to have some type of physical touching in order after the threat. So you could threaten somebody all you want, but at the same time, he doesn't have the right, according to Tom, Karmelo Anthony had all the right to stab him in the heart, even though he just grabbed and tugged at him. That makes no fucking sense. Okay. So
how much
you remove that, you stated,
you don't know what that grabbing looked like.
Hold on. You stated it doesn't matter. It's a like regardless if it's tough or a little bit, does not fucking matter. His argument is he has every right to stab him in the heart and delete this kid. Right? I'm saying
he has every right to defend himself.
I'm saying this. If that's the case, and you're saying, well, it could have been a threat to him, and he's panicking, so that he doesn't know the escalation, right? You and Dusty had an entire conversation about the escalation of what could have happened. Guess what? Austin has that same standards. If you're going to put the same standards on Carmelo Anthony, Austin has the same standards of saying.
I didn't say it was dependent on what could have happened, though. I didn't say that. I'm saying it's dependent only on what happened, what did happen.
Yeah,
just
but
based on what happened.
No, you're moving the goalpost here, bro.
No, I'm not. You're moving the goalpost. I'm pulling you back to the
Dude,
goalpost.
I'm telling you, if that's the case, and he felt like his life was in danger from the threat, and he even fucking put his hand in the bag, does he have the right at that point to pull out a fucking knife out of his ass and stab him in the heart, Tom?
No, because he would be the aggressor.
No, of course
right?
not.
He would be the
No, it
Yes,
doesn't
he
matter.
is-
He
he
still
is the
doesn't have
aggressor,
right. Either
yes.
way.
If this were
No,
reversed,
it's
I'd be the
what
best
Fatty
Trump
said.
way, bro.
Fatty, okay, hold on. Let's break this down. Fatty gave you an example that was dependent on something, right? He had an example where he says, "If you talk to my wife again, like the threat is dependent on
But
if
that's
you
not
talk
under
to
the
his
law,
wife."
though.
Correct.
The law doesn't see it that way.
Nobody asked. So you agree that like
so
it
you're
is
just gonna make up
dependent
your own
on
laws.
that,
Great,
yes?
go for it.
No, the law it does include that
not.
like you are threatening them on a dependent thing. So if I say, if you if you try to hurt me, I will kill you, right? Well, yes, the law is going to take into account that I am saying that I am going to defend myself in this situation, but it's still a threat. Yeah, it's still a threat, but
the
it's
thing
in a
is, if he
self-defense
never
situation.
does- if he
It's
never-
legal now.
if he
So the
never actually goes through with the
dependent
threat-
clause is important.
But it sounds like he
So
did.
here's the thing.
He
Let's
did
say
go
you
through
threaten
with
me, Tom. Let's say you threaten me over the internet. Then I go to your house and then I just delete you because you threatened me over the internet. That still
Right,
wouldn't
I'm
matter,
saying that
Tom.
doesn't make
The
sense,
threat
right?
doesn't
Because I'm
matter.
saying the dependent matters. I'm saying the part that it is dependent on matters. In this case, he said, if you touch me again, and he did touch him again. So you're removing that context from this and pretending as though just
But
the
that
threat
doesn't-
alone
but-
doesn't
but-
matter when that threat is dependent on him touching him.
But at the end of the day, that still doesn't matter within the case here, Tom.
and Jay-
Because by that standards, everybody, all kids have the right to kill other kids with physical content, Tom. That makes no sense, bro.
Jake, but there's Jake. This is, I think you're being
answer
inconsistent,
yourself.
right? This is why I think you're being inconsistent. Like, let's talk about politics. Because politics is something that you cover usually, right?
Sure.
Donald Trump saying
And gay sex.
we are going to attack Iran is very different of saying if Iran keeps doing this and this and this and this, we might have to attack Iran.
It's still a
It
threat.
goes from I'm just a bully trying to pick a fight with somebody to I'm picking a fight with
Yes.
somebody not because I want to, but because these people are doing X, Y, and Z. So they kind of give me a justification for me to move around. I think there's literally life, to be honest, right?
No, I
think there's actually a warning. I think it's not a threat. I think it's actually a warning. When I say, hey, happens all the time. I'm walking around and there's a guy with the dog and the dog is not on a leash. And I say, hey, if the dog bites me, don't blame me. Like if the dog comes, like it's not a threat. I'm just telling the person, hey, be careful with your dog because
Right.
he's out of a leash. If he comes at me and does something, then don't get mad when I try to punt him, right?
Okay.
So don't you think that's different a little bit?
No, it is different. So let's go back to the police report here. According to
Jake,
the
if you
first
don't
time,
stop interrupting.
according to the first time that Karmelo Anthony said, "Touch me and see what happens." According to the reports of the police, he didn't actually touch him physically. He didn't shove him or grab him, right? Of what they were saying. It was the second time where he said, "Punch me and see what happens," is when he grabbed him, and that was the first encounter. Now, the first threat right off the bat, touch me and see what happens. He didn't even touch him. So then, therefore, at that point in time, did Austin have the right to delete the guy? Of course not. This is a ridiculous argument here, and we all agree with that,
Yes.
right? Now, the second time he did it,
No,
now the
we
second
don't
time,
agree with that.
Now, okay, fair enough. But then the second time where he actually did touch him, when he's made the second threat, punch me and see what happens. Then Austin grabbed him to remove the guy. Then now you're saying it's okay to murder the kid.
Not.
I think just saying
Nobody's
touch me
ever
and see
saying
what
it's okay to
happens.
murder
Well, there's
somebody.
If he touches
argumentation
him,
there.
I'm not sure anyone.
if we're saying yes, murder assumes that he is morally wrong or legally incorrect
Delete
in this.
the
We're
kid.
saying he has the
Does
right
he
to
have the
kill
right?
him. Yes, and so we're saying that if he says touch me and see what happens, and the guy touches him,
No, he
he's going
didn't
to
the
see
first
what
time.
happens.
He didn't see the first time.
It doesn't
was the
matter.
second
It doesn't
time
matter.
when
He's
he report-
already told him. He's already drawn that line. That's what matters. If I say get off my property or I'm going to shoot you, and you stay on my property,
but-
I shoot you.
He did touch him. He did touch him though.
It's the famous.
I know, the
fuck
second
around
time
and-
on the
I
second
don't
threat he
think
did.
fuck around and
Okay.
find out is a threat. I don't.
He's
think it's a
acting
threat,
like
it's a
because
warning.
he changed the line. So he's saying because he changed the line. First he said touch me, but then later he said punch me. So now he's moved the line of where it is, and now because he touched him and didn't
And he
punch
didn't
him,
punch him?
now the
By the
threat
way,
has
no.
moved.
No,
yeah,
no,
it's
hold on.
totally changed now. But no,
Hold
he's
on,
made
here's the
both
thing.
threats.
Bro. He didn't punch. He didn't punch Karmelo Anthony. He didn't punch him, bro. But he
You're
said,
right.
punch me and see what happens. He didn't
That's what
punch
we're
him, and then
saying.
he ended up murdering the kid, right?
But he also said, touch me and see what happens.
Yeah,
he
but the
also
touch me
said
part.
that.
Also, I want to push back on the saying like, oh, he's justified to murder him in this case. Carmelo did also ask, also in the police report, he's documented as asking like, is he okay? Like, is he going to be okay? Like he expresses like concern for the guy's life. So he wasn't thinking like, I'm going to kill you. He was like, I'm going to get out of this situation, and he did.
Sounds
Right.
like
He ran immediately. He didn't keep stabbing him.
That's a
right?
very
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah,
And
that
what
was
I'm saying-
concern, bro. No. That's not concern.
What does touch me?
No. But that's what I'm saying, though. Again, that's why I asked y'all the question: do y'all believe they were mutual combatants?
It's hard to explain.
Right?
I'd have to show you.
Right. That's why I asked y'all the question: do y'all believe they're mutual combatants? Right? Because in a fight, right, and we're both agreeing to a fight. If I kill you, that's still murder. That's not self-defense.
I think when you say mutual combatants, because I haven't heard this term, you mean like equally matched, like saying
No, we're fighting.
No, we're
He
fighting.
means
It's
they.
not a- it's
He
not an
means
attack.
they're.
It's not a one
He
against
means
the other.
not even that they're fighting. He's saying that they have this like
physicality and
intensity. Yes,
we
like
want-
they
yeah,
have like a beef between them.
It's
Yeah.
we both want
It's
to fight.
mutual
It's not a
combat.
bully situation. One person attacking the other. It's both people want to fight with each other. I think the thing is, and once again, we need to see, especially the videos and the reports and all that. I believe there's some level of intention for the kid to kind of be around that, because I think there was some things that happened before that actually made not like it just didn't pop up there just for nothing, right? But the thing is, the same way we have to prove there was no self-defense, people have to prove you when they're with an intention. And I think only a mind reader would think that this shit will end up in one kid being deleted and another one being probably going to jail.
Yeah,
for
I would say
20
the same, but
Right.
with what you're saying, I would say
I
the
see
same
it.
for the kid approaching him under the tent to say,
Same thing.
"Hey, you got to
Exactly.
get out of that
Same
seat,"
thing.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
apply both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
And can we please stop with the big guy, little guy rhetoric on a street fight? It doesn't matter what side. It's a street fight. It's a
In this case, a bleacher
clashing,
fight,
right?
yeah.
Right.
And they both
Right. That doesn't matter. And
yeah,
I also wanted to lead into how the fear factor.
Well, it does.
of this,
It plays into the level of threat.
Tom.
Yeah, like you just said. Correct.
Right. But what I'm saying is this also. I don't take the too big white boy scary excuse either, because he's integrated into them, right? He's in an area, like y'all said, he's in an affluent area. His friends are white. All the people around him are white, right? I live in a town called Rochester, Minnesota. All my kids grew up with white kids. You understand what I'm saying? They grew up together. I know I call them my sons and my daughters because they used to eat at my house. They spent the night. You see what I'm saying? So my sons and my daughters don't have that bias, right? Of, oh, he's a scary big white boy. That's just somebody they know, right? So that's
I'm with you. I don't think it was a race thing. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, right? So again, if they're mutual combatants, right, and we fighting and you kill me, it doesn't matter that you was defending yourself. I was defending myself too, right?
It feels like the phrase mutual combatants implies that they like agreed to the combat, right? Like they
You
they
do
established
agree
that they're gonna fight.
but they didn't agree with
Nope. That's
right?
incorrect.
No.
Again, you do agree to the combat because you had the opportunity to move. Both of them have the opportunity to walk away. And
Rick,
listen to what I'm saying. I understand wholeheartedly. I understand wholeheartedly when people say don't start none, won't be none. I understand it, right? But again, once it's something, somebody's going to be held responsible. If he wanted to be smart, if the kid wanted to be smart, he'd have stabbed him soon as he walked up to him.
Right, but the difference here,
how is that smart?
there's a difference between
Gotta
he
follow
has
that.
the ability to walk away and he has the responsibility to walk away.
Yeah,
And that's more of what we're asking.
no,
is
100%
does
there,
he
but-
have a responsibility to walk away? And I don't
got
think
you.
he does.
My question is this. My question is this to that then. Y'all think he gonna get that shake?
Get that what?
Y'all think he gonna
Is
get
he gonna
that
get off?
shake?
What does that mean for a Portuguese person?
Is
I'm sorry.
Anthony gonna get away?
Do y'all
I don't
believe?
know. I
Give me a
can't.
second.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think
Hey,
he
hey,
is
Ricky,
at that point.
can I answer that, Ricky? I think if it was two black people, I think you will get away with that shit.
Exactly.
I'm going to be straight
And
up.
that's my
If
point.
it was a black guy coming in on the tent and saying, "Hey
And
man,
that's
get
my
off the
point.
tent," if he was a black, they'll say, "Nah, it's self-defense because that guy is dangerous." I think it would be like two black people. I think he would go. I would think he'll get away with it. I truly
Fatty,
do.
this is the
Yeah,
shake.
would be delivering rap
No.
music.
Is that a
Why do you
dildo?
even have that? But
What is that?
No,
Is
this
that
is
a
the shake weight.
Shake weight.
This is a shake weight.
That's
When
the
somebody
shake.
says
yeah, he
the
puts it
shake
up
like
his
that,
ass. right?
This is what they're referring to. It's a great piece of exercise equipment.
Yeah, put it up his ass and he loses weight.
But yeah, like I'm saying that legally he get off.
That's actually extremely
Do
dangerous.
it. Hold it with both do it with both hands, bro. Both
Here we
hands.
go.
Both
I'm
hands.
not doing both hands. I need more super chats. I need more super chats for that.
You need 2 of those on both sides to
I
really,
think
really get it up.
whoa.
I'm saying that legally he ought to get off. I'm saying that, like, I think from my interpretation of the law and based on consistency, based on the way that the law should work, if he has justice in this situation, he ought to get off based on the information that we have available to us at this moment.
People on the chat are
make sure he has
asking
a
why
fair
is
trial.
people on the chat are asking why is your shake white? Flo State, any preference?
You should have got a black one.
The black one's too big.
God damn it!
You would have had three hands if that was the case.
They don't
too much to handle.
So can anybody answer, like, because this is my opinion. Do you guys agree with me? If there was 2 black kids, had nothing to do. Like, do you think most people, including white people or conservatives, people that are, do you think that most people say, yo, that's self-defense, man? Like, he had the right.
Not at all.
Honest,
Not at all.
I don't think so either. In fact, that wouldn't have even made the news, bro. Because like
Not
black
at all.
people in Chicago every weekend murder each other.
Wait.
Not even fucking news.
Say it one more time, Patty. Sorry. Say it one more time.
Yeah.
My question. 1 second is a question. I don't want to.
I thought she was asking me. My bad.
No, my question is, if it was 2 black kids and it was the same situation, would most people say that self-defense, that kid has the right to defend himself? It was an accident. He didn't try to kill him. He just tried to defend himself. We're good to go. Do y'all think that the public opinion will change completely? Because it's just like, hey, he's putting my hands on me. We Jake. Let me actually ask Jake first, and then Kelly. Jake, would you?
Kelly, were you asking Fatty or Jake?
No,
I was asking Fatty.
I thought you.
I didn't know the question.
Oh, okay.
Because Jake says black culture is promoting violence and all that. Looking at how you look at black culture, if a black dude goes to another black dude and he says, "You better leave my did," would your opinion change, Jake?
No. Oh, yeah. You asking me. Sorry.
You can go next, Kelly. I'm just curious about Jake first, and then you can go next.
Yeah, like let's put the scenario if it was 2 black individuals that happened, the same scenario, etc. This wouldn't have even made the news. Like black on black crime is
That's
pretty
fair.
common even
what
with.
would be your opinion? Yes.
Yeah. So I would say this. I don't even think the black culture, because they raised about 2,000 or 3,000 now on the GoFundMe. I don't even think Karmelo Anthony, if he would have deleted another black individual, wouldn't have even raised that funding.
Totally fair. I'll agree with you. Nobody would give a fuck about donation.
Nobody would care. Yeah.
But you didn't answer the question.
Okay.
Would you, like, the same way you're saying these, nobody
would
care.
Would it be self-defense?
Yeah. Would you look at the guys? Would you look at the guys and say, "Hey, man, black people are dangerous. The black person attack another black person." No. I'm kind of. So you would change your verdict.
No, I would say it would still be first. Well, it would still be based off of the information that I would see. It would still be first degree. However, I would treat it the same exact way if this came to light of the public and I'm analyzing this situation. My opinion would be the same, bro. Like Karmelo Anthony, regardless if the kid was white or black or Asian or Hispanic or brown, whatever the case is, green, it still falls under the same thing, bro. But my point is that I don't think we would even know about it if Austin was a black kid.
Was it premeditated?
The premeditation, that is the question. That is the question.
The question, yeah.
It seems to be that, because you can kind of make an argument that it could be premeditated because of the knife, right? That's the only real argument on that.
You can't make that argument at all.
But yeah, you could,
because the dude had a knife in his pocket.
No, well, here's the thing, Flo. We don't have the full context of everything, because there's a lot of things in X that are saying that they knew each other, etc. Now, according to police reports, that's not true. But however, I would say there could be a possibility that's definitely not going to be self-defense laws. Like the self-defense is out the fucking door. I don't think that's going to be the case. Could it be manslaughter? Perhaps a more likelihood. Perhaps at the information that we have currently.
Frankly, I have a question for y'all after I read the super chats. And friends, we're going to close out a lot of the locations where people are streaming right now. Okay, I'm going to drop the link for the original show. Please come in and join.
Let me set up my redirect.
If you are joining, please, please, please subscribe to all the content creators that are on the show. Everybody kind of being extremely cool. This could be way worse. We are doing good. Okay, Valhalla and Wakanda behaving extremely well. So please reward the content creators that are on the show and please follow them. I would truly appreciate it. Okay. Other than that, we are going to close the location one by one. So if you're watching this, come to the Team Fatty show, and I'll make sure you get all the links to refer to other people. My question after the super chat, and this is going to be a tricky question, okay?
Tricky.
Just for you to think about it on the 1 minute or two that I take to read the super chats. When it was George Floyd, people talk about what he was before he met the Mr. Officer Nee, okay? If we find out that this kid is a bully, does it change your perspective on what happened? Okay? If we found out, if they came up with tape and we find out that this kid is a regular, putting hands on people, going around, being a bully and all that, would that change the perception of what happened? Would you think that now there's kind of a self-defense type of situation going on? Let me read these real quick. Please, once again, go ahead and follow Ricky Williams. The link is in the chat. Please go ahead and follow Flow State. The link, not Flow State, the Powder Dusty. The link is in the chat too. I appreciate y'all. Go ahead and follow Ryan. Thank you very much for being here. The Radical Coder. I appreciate you, sir. Go ahead and follow Trigger Mike, please. I would appreciate it. Kelly, the lovely Kelly, please go ahead and follow her too. I appreciate it. Tom Foolery, go ahead and follow Tom. I would appreciate it too. And Resla, I would appreciate it too. I am missing Jake, not because I don't like him, but because I forgot. But
you don't like me, bro.
I will put.
You're racist.
I will put Jake. Yeah, I need to my link thingy. Yes, I have it right here. Project. Here we go. Project VioPod, and go ahead and please follow Mr. Jake once again. Star in the making. And Mr.
And
Jake,
you're on my stream. Sorry, I just saw a comment down there. What the hell? I just ended my stream, but the redirect is set up to go to Fatty. So you just hang tight, and you'll be over here watching us again.
Thank you very much, Flow State. I appreciate it. Go ahead and follow Jake. And I don't know. It seems like Jake and Tom or Jake and Flow State might need to debate even there. I don't know. We need to.
I need to debate everybody on the fucking panel at this point.
Oh shit! No, it's just can be.
We need to debate in person.
Ooh wee!
Let's make it happen, bro. Let's make it happen.
Hey, bring the shaker. Bernie's book tour, $5. Wrong panel for that question. The question was meant to suggest when black deletes black, no sympathy, only when they kill white. This was the extra. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. We have Pax Americana, which I think is Mr. Pumpkin. Thank you very much, Pumpkin, for the $10. Okay, I appreciate you. We have Ben in the building. Ben says, what does the black community think of the music and glorification of bad things? Is it an issue? If not, why not? Yes, is an issue. And I'm going to do a whataboutism, just like sex, drugs, and rock and roll was an issue for white community. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, sir. We have Mr. Iset is in the building. Thank you, sir. He says, who as white people got along in history, they are not moral judges. Thank you very much.
At least we didn't sell ourselves into slavery.
Oh, shit. Dark Relief in the building, and he gifted 1 membership for the Untouchable Empire, baby. 3 memberships, friends. Well, you guys are shortchanging me today. Yesterday, they gave me 50 memberships, and today we get 12. We need 3 memberships. Please become a member. I'll truly appreciate it. The goal is 15, and then we move on to the hamburger fund. That is still empty, but we have time to actually get it done. Okay. Thank you very much, Dark Relief. I appreciate you. We have Tutti Bug gifted 5, I think, Dusty membership. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the 5 memberships. Plumblies Rainbows, rainbows. What about that gay thug struggle? I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means.
But that was
probably a Jake.
Are you homosexual? Lead Clinton, $5. One action precedes another. Don't start none, won't be none. Is that simple? Yes, it's the fuck around and find out. I really like. It's kind of funny to see people do the like, and once again, I'm biased, right? But I'm watching the political movement and Trump people or people that is the fuck around and find out crowd. That's literally what it is. Hey man, fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out. And now somebody fuck around.
The libs say that.
Hey, thank God we're not deleting the. Thank God we're not deleting the liberals or putting violence on them, right? Like the Tesla.
Not yet. Watch out, guys.
Like the people that are burning down Teslas.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah. Wait. There's a conversation for next week.
Yeah. For sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lead. I appreciate you, sir. He's coming back again. It says a warning and a threat are not the same thing.
Yes, they are. That's stupid.
Chris says $5. What did Daniel Penny needed for him to do what he did? Thank you very much, sir. Chris, back again. He says, I didn't mind what Daniel Penny did, but he should have waited to police to get there.
Want to try?
Damn.
Lead train guy.
Once the door of violence is open, you can determine the other person action. Oh, fuck around.
But the state can. But the state can.
Fuck's that mean?
We have Chris. Chris says, if we want him to get off all if we want him to get off, all the people need to get together and go up there and his defense, and they will probably let him go. If they did it to Daniel Penny, they can do it for him.
I mean, that really is sort of a valid legal strategy. Is at sentencing, get the defendant's side of the courtroom loaded up.
Yes. MC Evitits saying hello to the panel in the chat. Thank you very much, MC, for being here. I appreciate you. We have Chris Reed. Thank you very much for all the donations, Chris. I appreciate you, sir. He says, and what we agree, if Trump pardoned Eric Sheldon, the guy that put the knee on George Floyd.
It's Derek Chauvin.
Eric Chauvin. Yeah. Yes.
But you spelled it wrong. It was him, not you, Fat.
You don't have to agree. The president can pardon who he wants.
No, not because that wasn't a federal.
It was state. It was state in Minnesota.
Yeah, so he couldn't if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Lobster, thank you very much for the membership, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Jason Jamieson. You
That's
have an
Lobster
emoji, brother.
2.0. That's a whole ass new kind of lobster.
That's from your site?
I don't know where it's from, but it's an evolved lobster. Jordan Peterson's been getting around, I guess.
That guy's crying on stream and shit. Fucking
look at these lobsters.
AI,
oh God,
he's an AI lobster. Thank you very much, Lobster and Jason Jamieson, for getting us the first goal of the day, the 3 untouchable memberships. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go back on the show. We don't have a lot of time, but we're going to try to make it. Once again, I'm going to close out people on Resla's side and on Radical Coder. I'm going to drop the links in the chat. If you can find it, Team Fatty. We're trying to actually bring both sides together since the internet is a big place and everybody can eat. So please go ahead and come to this side. Let me actually get Resla and Ryan because they've been quiet, right? I'll repeat the question again and it's rolling in the bottom. Okay. If we find out the same way when people found out about George Floyd background and kind of sided with the other side saying is the things that he did before show that he's not a good person, so it's natural for the cop to have that reaction. If we find out that the kid is a known bully and actually walking around doing these things on a regular, would that change or would that cement your opinion that it was kind of self-defense and he had the right to do what he need to do? Let's go with Ryan and Resla, and then we go from there.
It would not. It would not be the case because that's all the stuff for instance, it never stopped anyone from trying to advocate for George Floyd. It's only all the other hatred came out once they figure out what his background is, and the same thing would be the same thing for these two young kids. If we find out they were bullies, sure, it might go into the fact as to why the aggression sparked first with the other kid. With I forget his name already.
Karmelo?
No, not Karmelo. The other one.
Austin
Metcalf.
Austin.
Yeah.
There you go. If it might go into the personality as to why Austin might provoke first, but also you have to take into the fact that we have to take this into account of the simple fact that he's also responsible. He's another person in it, as Ricky Williams said. Mutual combatants. He also had the right that when he decided that he wanted to have this conversation with Anthony, with Karmelo, that when